Happy Monday. Welcome back to Retake the Week, and we've got a bit of a different configuration for you. Yes, there is a guest. He will be here for a good chunk of the episode. We're going to be able to make the most of him, ask him some questions, grill him a bit about his past, also his future, and find out exactly what's been up to recently, because I'm sure some of you will be familiar with his work. STYKO has been killing it in the content game, as well as being, competitively still active for a good while. I'm not sure what's going to be coming next. We'll get into all of that. Of course, Quack will be with us, as he always is, but before we get into any of the topics today, we do have to do what we do every week and thank the members. The members, of course, make this channel viable, make us afford certain little amenities, little luxuries, such as having the show on Spotify and on other podcasting platforms. So big thank you to them. They get access to bonus content, the right to vote, and as well as, a small bit of satisfaction, that pride in their heart. They kept our lights on and my water warm, which it was today, thank the heavens. But all right, okay, let's get straight into it. There's no need to waste any more time. We've had enough of this chat. We do it every week. STYKO, thank you for joining the show. How are you feeling, my man?
Thank you for having me. Feeling all right. I'm recharged after this player break in summer. It was pretty hectic for me personally, so I'm teamless right now. I'm on bench, so not playing competitively right now. But it's always strange when you have so much free time, and I'm not used to it, so I'm kind of learning how to deal with it.
That's sort of where I'm at right now, because I'm doing my thesis at the same time. And so it's player break, it's thesis. I'm not doing anything. Like it's like occasionally I have a work shift at Fragbite, and that's about it. But it's so hard to make. Like the rest of the time, I just find myself doing nothing. Like I just go. Like, yeah, it's difficult to put the day together some of the time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, we do have some questions for you. I think some intrigue. Quack, you prepped some of this stuff. I'll let you take it away, and I think we'll hop in as and when we have little notes, little comments to add on.
Yeah, we run this show fast and loose. It's a lot of we have fun with it. You just mentioned you benched, which is unfortunate. I'm sorry, I guess, but okay. You were in Inner Circle, which was a new project, which I think a lot of us got to know for the first time earlier this year when you came in here. So. How did that project sort of came about? Because I felt that maybe you were sort of the focal point of that project when it started, and maybe to a lot of people on the outside, it really looked like your project. So I was actually kind of surprised to see you on the bench there.
So yeah, you heard about it at the start of the year because it was, I believe, created at the start of the year. It was completely new organization with people working there. They've had a background in esports in general, but from previous organizations that they were part of. Some of were in Navi and some other places as well. So it came to be that I was basically free agent, and LMBT, which was my coach back in Hellraisers and Mousesports, reached out to me if we want to create something, and I was like, sure, but I want IGL, and he said, yeah, let's do it. And we started reaching out to players, and obviously there was like time where the VRS update kind of came into play, and it was very, very hard for us to get something going, because obviously every player wants to be in a team that has already VRS ranking, plus we're a new organization. We were just legit me and the coach, so there were no other players, so it's hard to get like free agents, because that's another thing. Like we couldn't just buy out people, like we didn't have budget for it, and for the second of all, like people wouldn't, if they have an opportunity to join an established team already and fill kind of this fifth spot, compared to a project where there's literally one player in the lineup, which is me in a completely new role, people will obviously choose the first one. So it's hard to get like a new players, but then some opportunities came. We scouted QQ. We purely just scouted him by watching his Faceit demos, which is kind of crazy, but it's what we did. We worked on it for like a month to finalize the roster, and the roster itself still wasn't like there was a day before the first practice of the season, and we still didn't have a fifth player, because we were still looking for, like, some people, we reached out to a lot of people, then some people were like super hesitant, and some refused, and some wanted to join, but we couldn't buy them out, etc., etc. So we got in a roster where there were some red flags from the get-go, but we thought that we'll figure it out. And throughout the season, it was also apparent that we are not like moving in the right direction. a lot of times, like there were a lot of frustrations because all we had to do is kind of compete in open qualifiers, and those are brutal, where 400 teams are playing for 1 or 2 spots, and you have to win pretty much like 8 or 9 games in a row, and out of those, like you're not playing like level 3s. You're playing from the round 2, you're playing a professional team, like that is actually salaried. And to win that amount of games, sometimes you lose to, I would say we lost twice or 3 times against cheaters. A lot of times we just lost against professional players, which are just good. Sometimes we just played straight up bad that day and we lost to no-namers. Like, it was hard. And throughout this whole season, we won only one single open qualifier, and we couldn't gather any VRS points because we didn't have like money to like really travel to every single event. We didn't have time for it as well. And LAN tournaments are VRS farm points right now, but we couldn't do it.
Yeah, because I remember you guys went to Lund here in Sweden. We had
that was the only one.
Yeah, and that was also rough. Like there were some really good teams in attendance, so that would have been difficult. Maybe
still,
not.
I feel like we could have, like, if we played those teams online, we would definitely have like pretty good chance. But the overall LAN experience didn't fit us at all. We were having a lot of technical issues, and we really couldn't put like our game that we practiced into actual like match, and that was frustrating. That was the most frustrating LAN I've ever played because we wanted to show what we're capable of, and none of those 3 games we could because of like external factors, I would say, but I don't want to blame it on them. Maybe we were just ready. Maybe we didn't even deserve top 8 there.
Yeah, I mean, it's also kind of frustrating because on those sort of events, what ends up being VRS ranked also depends on what HLTV wants to put on. Yeah. Like, so none of your matches there counted because HLTV didn't think the group stage was good enough to be on HLTV. So, I mean, that's sort of the deal that they have, and that's unfortunate that like these games were still good games against the good teams. Like you had some pretty good teams, like some decent teams in your group as well. So it's a shame that those, like the game against Eyeballers, game against Ninjas in Pyjamas, that they don't count towards the VRS when they definitely could have. So that's obviously unfortunate as well. But you said you picked up the IGL role, and I remember back in the day that a lot of people have been talking about how like on some previous teams where you had issues finding an IGL, a lot of people were saying that, hey, why doesn't STYKO pick up the IGL role? And I remember at some point I looked it up and I was like, wow, he's actually never done that. Like, there's never been a team where STYKO was a caller. So I've always been interested in like hearing how that transition might go and like why you decided to take it now. Because you also said that was something you wanted to do when you joined the team as well.
Yeah. So I felt like it was a natural progression of my career to actually start IGLing. I think people, whenever I was talking in my previous teams, even though I wasn't captain of IGL, but people were very attentive to me. They were always listening. When I had something to say, I would say like a kind of quiet guy, but when I had to say something, people were always listening. And that was like first good quality that I was never tilting. I was pretty calm in general. I was like methodical. I knew how to manage people or how to talk to people when the situation is not great. So all these qualities are kind of bundled up together into me trying an IGL role. First of all, I don't think I'm a born captain or anything like that. So that is first thing that I wanted to learn and develop myself as a human being as well, not only as a player. And I think this past half year showed me a lot of good things that I have, and then a lot of things that I have to work on and how to work on them. And as you said, in previous teams, people were thinking that I'm an IGL. I was actually IGLing for a brief period in Apex when we overhauled the whole team with Jail and Shocks coming in. And I always said, guys, like, if you want me to IGL, I will IGL. But I was lurker/anchor. I had only one condition. Like, my replacement will not be, like, I want to say, quote unquote, worse than me. Like, I want someone to improve, to be better in the role. And I rated myself pretty highly in that role. I thought I was doing pretty good job while supporting as well. So I wanted someone who is better. And then Apex came like, okay, we're getting Shocks from Liquid. And I said, sure, okay, let's do it. I'm going to IGL. And that was a mistake, obviously, because like nothing clicked in that team. We changed 2 players plus a coach. Kuban and Shox had a lot of disagreements, and I, as an IGL, I wasn't even developing during those 2 months, I feel like. Like, we were always fixing something different than my IGLing, and after that, I was so burned out and so disgusted by the role, pretty much, that I felt like I let down the team and let down myself for allowing this trade to happen. Because if I said no, then Shox would have never come, right? Because the spot is occupied for Anchor and Lurker. And then after that, we realized to do a lot of trials, and that's where Kingt came in. And after that, he kind of really took off as an IGL. So that's a good thing, I guess, out of it. And yeah, in my previous teams, I always had an IGL, and I was always kind of supporting him in a way. But now I took it under my control, the whole team. So I wanted to lead in game.
Yeah, I think for me, something that we always, as a community, we have conversations about IGLs. It always ends up coming down to a very almost difficult to frame conversation about strategy and tactics and calling. But obviously there's a lot more to the role than that. For you, what was actually the most difficult part? Was it actually implementing strategies, or was it some other aspect of maybe man management? Like, what was actually hard for you in the IGL position?
Okay, so hard for me was that throughout my career, I realized I'm very methodical guy, as I said. I realized how I want to train individually, how I want to train with a team. As soon as I became an IGL, it all had to go out of window pretty much, because I realized I have no real time to do my aim training every day, to do my aim practices like a couple of times a week, to play a game as much as I would like to. A lot of it was me watching like rewatches of our practices or watching other games, tier 1 tournaments, and trying to steal some stuff, watching YouTube a lot, like kind of evolving as a leader, and spending a lot of time in one-on-one talks with either players or the coach, and being responsible for this tactical side. I didn't get to play as much as I would like to, and my whole I'm a player that I need to play a lot to play well, right? Some players, they barely touch a game and they're gonna put up like great numbers, but I'm not one of them. I have to like work hard to be in form, be in shape. And right now I realize that it's not like possible for me with the scheme that I learned myself how to work with. It's not compatible with IGLing because of the amount of other work that I need to put in. And that was the biggest like a learning curve for me, to throw something out of the window and immediately start searching for new ways how to spend time well on PC, how to be productive, how to not waste time and just look at blank screen or doom scroll or anything like that. Like, I had to basically squeeze every second to make performance of the team better. And personally, I'm happy with it, even though the results didn't really show for it. But I was experimenting a lot, and I kind of knew how I want to shape myself as an IGL. So in the future, if I ever will be an IGL, I think this half a year actually gave me a lot of data to work with.
Okay.
About that future, so right now you're on Inner Circle's bench. I don't know exactly like what the contract situation is there, if it's possible to move out of that, but like, what do you see happening forward? Like, is there interest from other teams? Is there maybe a move happening for the fall season, or are you looking at, just sitting tight and waiting to see if there's an opportunity, or what do you think might happen in the coming time?
Yes. So in Inner Circle, yes, I'm on bench, but the buyout situation I think is very fair. I have very good relations with the CEO and management in general. So I think it won't be like a contract chill or anything like that. The interest throughout this offseason, it was there from I want to say like a couple of teams, but ironically enough, none of them were for the IGL spot. It was for my old spots, which were Anchor and Lurkers. And I said, even though those were like pretty sweet deals, like from the teams inside the VRS rankings, I still was stubborn and wanted to. And I said no. Even if it means that I will sit out this season, which is super risky, but I feel like I want to be IGL and I want to stand on it, right? That's about it. The player break right now is at the date of this recording is pretty much over, and I'm not signed anywhere. So that means that I will be, as usual, when I'm on bench, I will be focusing more on myself, my content, probably streaming, and my YouTube in general. I'm also going to be more open to like any talent work, you know, just to appear on the camera, stick with tier 1 Counter-Strike, and in tournament organizers, I realized that they're interested in having players on desk as well, and I think I did pretty good at last year at Blast events. So that could be fun as well to experiment with this, but my priority would be always to play, but not play in a team where I would be there just for the sake of being there. I actually want to have like a common goals and shared vision and have some kind of structure behind it. I just don't want to play like, you know, in mixes that it's like in a circle all over again, where we have to qualify somewhere to get a VRS ranking. But I would like to join something that is already more established. But I understand that's like a big ask from someone like me, and I'm hoping that I can find something. But if not, I have some backup plans.
Fair enough. I actually want to touch on that whole VRS system, the whole like setup we have right now. You're a competitor, and you're someone who had to approach VRS as someone, as you said, with like a fresh team, no VRS rank. Are you a fan of this system? Or, because I know back in the day, if you weren't a team already receiving invites, you would have had to go through this kind of grind anyway. But do you think this is an improvement on the way we used to see events run? Is it fairer, or is it for you just an unnecessary slog that kind of makes things worse?
Okay, so I'll be subjective here and say that I'm on the receiving end of VRS system.
Yeah.
So I will always say that I don't like it. Like, it's natural. Like, it's causing me more stress than anything else right now, right? But objectively speaking, I really can't put it into words, because I guess the system makes sense to not rely on like a third party ranking and make it like more calculated, but it's so far from being well implemented, in my opinion. Because if you look at it, I can give you some raw data behind it. I think it's very bad that in the first season of 2025, only 2 teams managed to get out of like a VRS hell and break through into tier 1. I think that's way too little. In before we've had like at least 4, 5, 6 teams that kind of showed themselves, right? But in the first half of the year, I think it was only NIP, and that is by them winning miraculously open qualifier to PGL. I think Astana it was. And then they made it all the way to semifinals or something like that, or quarterfinals. I'm not sure, but that was like, again, it's great that it happened, and I think they deserved it. But it's extremely unlikely that this will be replicable, because in the first open qualifier they had to win like 8 best of ones to even get to the close qualifier, which they fought like 16 teams for 1 spot. And then in that event, they actually made it to the playoffs. So that is one team, and then TNL is the second one, which won a lot of like. They won a Lundland, which we spoke about. They won a lot of prize money at the lands that they were in. They played well in the matches online, and I think these are the only 2 teams that kind of break through. I might be wrong on that, but I think it's way too little. And another thing with VRS is that it like kind of leads into the burnout naturally. For tier 1 teams, not so much, because tier 1 teams can actually plan the whole season, because they know what tournaments will be invited to. They know which one will they decline. They know when they can have bootcamp, when they will have like a week or 2 for practice, when they will have to travel. They can build the whole schedule. And if you remove the uncertainty in the schedule, the life of a professional player is actually way less stressful than to be like a team that is always playing a qualifier, not knowing if you qualify today, tomorrow you might play a close qualifier, and if you win that one, in 2 weeks you might have a LAN which you need to fix visa for, etc. You know, like, it's so uncertain, because you can attend 10 LANs or like 5 events, good events throughout the season, or you can bomb out every qualifier and be home the whole time. So that one is super stressful, because it's not allowing you to plan forward at all, depending on your performance. And I think, yeah, it's one of the biggest reasons why I'm not a fan of it. But at the same time, I understand why it's being implemented.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I think you're right that those are the only 2 teams who did it. I think Perry Vision were talked about a little as well, but they didn't really do it in the same way. I don't I'm not even quite sure how they did it because they didn't play a lot of open qualifiers. They mostly just
I think they won the very first open qualifier of the year. I don't really remember which one it was, but they won the very first one, and then they placed well in a couple of online qualifiers. So in theory, Parivision is another team. But now I'm looking, for example, at the ranking, and Tyloo is up there, obviously right now after the Fissure tournament, but even Tyloo, you could mention it, but I'm talking about purely European teams where we have like a lot of open qualifiers and a huge competition, right? So from those teams, I think only NIP did it. And I'm looking right now, maybe Heroic, no, actually Heroic didn't because they kind of bought the core from Sangal as well. So they were already in a good VRS moment. Nemiga made it to the major. I think they were already good at VRS. Like, even TNL and NIP, they're 26th and 36th in HLTV ranking. So I think those are only two.
Yeah, TNL climbed
pretty
from
sure it is.
226th on VRS is where they bottomed out this year. And they climbed up it, winning and playing well in these sorts of CCT Cups or the lower level versions they actually got to qualify for. And then, those LAN events. And those LAN events carry ridiculous amounts of weight. If you can get yourself to a VRS-enabled LAN, I guess you can call it, and you even make a top 4. Like, you don't have to go that deep. You can just make playoffs at some of them. I think you go from being obscure to on the fringes of like playoff invites at CCT, which is a completely different sort of kettle of fish. It's a different ballpark. All of a sudden, your climb to tier 1/1.5 becomes a cakewalk relative to what it was if you were just trying to grind those online qualifiers. So it's a strange system with some quirks that I think are not ideal.
Another thing is that it kind of is a pay to win because a lot of teams, mixed teams, right, that would be maybe sometimes winning these online qualifiers and tournaments, they now have to travel to a LAN which they don't get, like they're not having an organization to pay for it, right? So it kind of forces it is kind of a pay to win in a sense, because if there's a lot of LANs, for example, happening in Sweden, right, because that's like a CS country and a lot of LANs can happen there, it's very easy to get to, then it favors Swedish teams because then a Spanish team, for example, have to travel all across Europe to compete there, but they don't have an organization to pay for it, so they're not going to attend. So those Swedish teams will always they can farm points against each other. I know it didn't happen theoretically, but it is kind of a way where it is incentivizing you to travel a lot and someone cannot afford it. For example, CIS teams, it would be really, really hard for them to travel because of visa issues, because of money, stuff. If you don't have an org, you can't really do that.
Yeah, I think it does happen to a degree. Like, it just now Alliance, they went to Epic LAN as well, so they've been making. I mean, they haven't won any of the events outright, but they've been winning games at like Level Up Lund, and they won games at Eliza Nordic Championship, and now also at Epic LAN. So, and they're really high up in the ranking. They're like into the top 50 of the Europe ranking, I think, at this point. Yeah, they're 33rd even, 33rd in Europe. So, and like, they're good, but they've definitely had the advantage of like they were able to play in Sweden and the Nordic Championship. That's not very far. It's like Finland. So the only big trip they really took was to Great Britain. But then we also had just tonight we had this Colossi, this old Rebels team, or the core of the previous Rebels team. They just won Fragadelphia and they got like 45 spots out of that event, which is
and
that's a bit crazy.
They're going to live off of this win for the whole season because of the invites, etc. It's like a snowball, right? But I would they be able to travel there if they weren't like paid all the tickets, etc., etc.? Probably not. So in a sense, it's kind of like you can't just gather 5 friends and play the event, because those LANs are important ones, and you have to physically go there and spend a lot of money to go there.
Yeah. I think the most egregious example we had, though, just of all of these little abuses, was the Kazakhstani/Middle Asian LAN that was VRS ranked and ended up getting Delta into like the top 70. So they got invites into European events and were able to just play half the season, I think it was, just from Europe in CCT Cups. So, yeah, something that needs to be addressed, I think, by Valve is which of these actual tiny local LANs can have impact, and also maybe neuter/nerf the impact they actually have on the ranking, because it feels almost like hack, like a loophole that teams have found.
Well, the benefit is that I think all of us want more smaller lands like this. So incentivizing it with good VRS points, I think that's the upside. Is that I don't think we would have had a big CS event at Level Up Lund. I don't think Alliance would have gone to Epic LAN, or Iberian Soul. I don't think they wouldn't have gone to Epic LAN. Like I don't think this Polish team who just won the Rebels team, I don't think they would have gone to Philadelphia. Probably M80 wouldn't have gone to Philadelphia. Like if we didn't have the VRS incentive and the big points, so that's the upside for the scene as a whole. But it is, as you say, pretty pay to win. So I think it's definitely like it's a trade-off. Like somebody's definitely getting fucked while some other people definitely benefit.
Yeah,
and that's
I also
yeah.
I also think that whenever these lands happen, like it's going to come to fruition in a couple of years that a lot of talent and community building is going to happen, because like if these pro teams and with the big names wouldn't attend like a Level Up Lund, which is fairly small land, I would say, but a lot of good players came there. Therefore, a lot of smaller teams came there, and by playing against them, they will naturally like get better, get inspired. You know, they want to attend a new one, and then in a year or two, like teams or like players that were like bombing out last place at these lands, they will suddenly become more like better. You know, like it serves as a motivation. Like, oh, we lost to these pro players, but it was close. Let's work harder. So it's naturally happening in NA as well. Like some people attend these lands purely because they will play against like a good professional European team. They just come there and it doesn't look like much, but it will motivate them to even like get better and better. So it's kind of like a grassroots in a way, where these lands and being like pro players going to these events is actually making that part of the world much stronger as a player base.
Yeah, for sure. I want to move on a little bit because just very quickly, you also do YouTube now, and I feel like you're definitely one of the more serious creators going right now, and especially from like the player and coach side. There's only a couple of you guys who are doing it to the degree you're doing it. So that's really cool. And we talked a little bit about the pre-show, but we can talk about it on the show as well. Like how did this come about, and how do you feel like sort of why are you doing it? Like obviously this helps you support your career outside of playing as well, but is it what are you enjoying with it, and how do you think it's going?
So yes, it is supporting my everything outside, but I have to say that my YouTube and content in general, like it's a net loss every month. So it's not like I'm making money off of this or anything like that. Even though I have like a pretty solid channel and community, it's basically a loss. But why I'm doing it is that I started a long time ago, where I realized there wasn't too much of a good CS content that I'm interested in on YouTube. I specifically wanted to find a couple of things where I want to develop in, let's say, mental game or anything like that, and see some more behind the scenes. And I couldn't find anyone that does it. And I realized, okay, like I will just do it for kind of myself. And then over time, it developed in a thing that I'm doing something that I wish I found earlier when I was young professional player, and that would help me a lot. And right now I'm doing it probably for like younger version of myself, and those 18, 19, 20-year-old guys who wish to become better and even professional at some point during their career. So I'm helping those guys, and if I do it well, naturally it will amass a lot of views. So it will help even more people, and algorithm will kind of pick up on it. So that's the whole reason behind it. I don't do it for financial gains or anything like that. It did help me throughout my career a lot. For example, in a circle, they were super happy about my content presence. They even help me right now when I'm on the bench. We create content for the organization, and I still get paid. Obviously, it allowed me to show my face and my microphone skills to be invited to do a blast analyst desk. So it definitely helps me, kind of like, I would say, my portfolio of like things that I can do is kind of like diversified in a way. And plus, on the other hand, like I understand why not a lot of people do it. I'm basically one of the few ones that does it. Is that it's difficult, but for me, it's kind of like relaxing to gather my own thoughts and then just press the camera button and record it, and then editor is taking care of it. So I am anyway learning and teaching myself how to be better in this game. So why not just document it? I'm not really creating content, in my opinion. I just document my stuff.
That's a cool way to view it. That's really cool. We have a little bit of limited time. You are leaving in about 20 minutes, I think. So I wanted to move on. If we're talking about Counter-Strike a bit more generally, like the big team of this year is obviously Vitality, and there's one specific thing I wanted to ask you about specifically Vitality, which is they obviously leveled up a big part thanks to signing Rops over the winter, and you've played with Rops, so I feel like probably better than a lot of other people. What do you think? What do you think he's actually doing to elevate the team so much? That like what is the big quality that is helping Rops make Vitality so much better? Like it was obviously a number of years ago you played with them, but I'm assuming there was glimpses of this even back in Mouse.
Yeah, as you said, like it's been years, and he developed as a person a lot and as a player a lot. In the meantime, he won a Grand Slam, he won a major, and he was on FaZe obviously, and it's definitely great seeing him in Vitality. I think one thing that is going to stick the most, and even if you're just a casual viewer, is that whenever you watch Vitality play, or if you watch like a Nard Out Here video, you know, with the tips and tricks, whenever Vitality is in the tournament, like 20% of the video is going to be Vitality tricks, which didn't happen before Ropes joined in. I think Ropes has so good like attention for a detail. I'm not saying that he's the one preparing all these tricks for the team, but him just being this nerdy guy and helping others, he is pushing also others to find this little like weird plays with the grenades or angle management and stuff like that. And obviously it helps that Ropes was always super, I want to say introverted, but at the same time like very flexible, you know? So he never caused a problem. It's not like he has like a really, really strong opinion about anything, and that's naturally not going to clash with those stronger opinions in form of maybe Apex, maybe Zyve, who has some strong opinions, and obviously the coach. So that's how I feel about him. He's extremely flexible and versatile, which can never be a bad thing in a team like Vitality.
How do you feel like the tier 1 game has changed since that time? Back when the two of you were up there with Mouse, like how do you feel like currency? As I feel like there's been changes, like some quite big changes just in the past 12 months in how teams play. I feel like it's a bit different, but is there anything you think? I think as quite a general question, what do you think is the biggest signs of like modern CS and the way it works right now? Like what's the biggest meta things that really shows that this is 2025 and this is how we play CS now?
Okay, so apart from aim, which is every year, people are just better and better at aiming. Like they shoot harder. I would also say that it's about versatility, and I will try to explain. I hear Apex talk about this in the 4-hour interview with Banks and Devilwalk recently, where Apex, you know, when for example Envy won a major with Apex, there was very like structured, or was it LDLC? Dude, I can't even remember. It was a French name, but it was a blue logo. I don't remember. I think it was LDLC.
He won them both. He won them both. Yeah.
Yeah, there was Happy in the team, and you also know how they play CS, right? Very very like slow and lurky way. Happy would be lurking. Everyone knows about it, and then they would still win the major because of one playstyle that is super annoying to deal with. No one knows how to deal with it, and that's how it is. Then when Fnatic was, for example, winning, they were like playing super fast and they were super annoying to deal with and very aggressive team. When VP as a VP Plow was playing, they also had their own style. So everyone had their style they were good at. But right now in Vitality, they have to know kind of all the styles, and change them depending on the enemy they're facing. So I think versatility is very important. Sometimes you play a team in which set executes will completely obliterate them. In the next game, you're going to play a super fast team and you have to save a lot of nades. Use a lot of nades. Then you will play a team which is, for example, like old VP with a Jame. And then Apex said in this interview, like, why the hell would I throw nades at 130? I'll just save all the nades until like 30 seconds left, and then I stop their execute and stuff like that. So sometimes you just want to rush. You want to play extremely poppy and together trade your way into the side, and that's when you play a post plan. So this is, to me, a modern CS. In one game, you won't be able to spot it. But if you take a sample of 5 Vitality games, and in all those 5, they play different kind of Counter-Strike, this is a tier 1 team in my eyes.
You wouldn't be able to do that like a couple of years back when you didn't have the same sort of resources behind it, and you didn't have the same investment. Like, not as many players were maybe playing. I mean, obviously they were playing full time, but maybe they weren't putting in as much time outside the server as we're doing now. So that's
one thing. And also, like, people were back in the day, they were in the comfort zone and they abused that comfort zone. And for some teams, it went really well and they won a lot of tournaments, and for some it didn't. But right now, if you're playing a comfort zone, that means you're readable, because you have 3 analysts against you on every single game. They know exactly which execute you have on A side Mirage. You have to have 4 of them, and then it kind of layers the whole game plan and structure of the team, because you want to pick which execute against which team you're going to be using because of the weakness. You're not going to do all 4 of them, but you're going to have them in your reservoir of strats, I would say. And this is just one side of one map. Imagine now you have to play 6 maps. Each has 2 sides, and then you have to default, and you have to, you have a 50 strats for every single map. But you are going to pick only 3 or 4 of those which will work against this specific team you're going to play against. So, and that's just the T side, and think about how deep the CT side gets.
Yeah, it's obviously a huge thing. But it's interesting to see this modern game develop. I feel like we're seeing new stuff all the time. Like, one of the more recent shifts I think we're seeing CT side. We're seeing a lot of teams. I feel like they pick their IGL based on what positions different players play, sort of, like, in a way. Some teams, they move the IGL into rotator positions, but I feel like we're seeing a lot of teams where they have a different player do the calls on the CT side because they're the rotator player. Like how G2 were using Hunter for this in the past year because he was the rotator. So I think they said that Hunter was doing the CT side calls instead of Snacks, and this is a much lower level. But just earlier this week, I heard that Alliance are doing the same thing because Poi, as soon as Poi came in, he's never called before. The dude is 18 years old, but because he came into the rotator spots, he's doing all the CT side calls basically, is what Twist said. So that's one of the things that I feel like it's cool how the game develops, and even stuff which we feel like this is a 25-year-old game. It feels like we would have everything figured out, but even very basic stuff like this can actually change a lot over time.
Exactly, and you can see it on Mirage. Like, if your IGL is jump checking B on CD side, he cannot make calls. So he will say, like, okay, I will take B apps, you will play connector and short, but you guys, you need to talk non-stop. I will be silent. I will maybe call in the freeze time what we're doing, but mid-round reactions, you have to call them. I don't see them from the B apps, right? So that's why this either happens, this kind of agreement in the team where not IGL player will orchestrate the round and talk more, or you can do it other way around, like Apex was doing back in Vitality, where he was a connector player. Like, he said, I'm not going to play B, I'm going to be in the middle of the action and I will make these calls. Even though it's a star position, I'm not shooting as hard as Spinks, for example, but I will still do it. And right now Robs is there, so I think he is taking this IGL mantle. And everyone is like a little bit more flexible as well. So again, this is coming back to the ropes, like, super flexible player, and allowing this flexibility in a team like Vitality, because anyone can call, anyone can take any position. It's super, super unreadable. Like, it's super hard to play against them.
Yeah, it's the only team you'll see a star AWPer take his rifle and anchor the A site on Mirage. I've never seen that, literally ever, but I've watched Vitality demos and seen ZywOo just with an AK or an M4A1 on A site alone. Never seen it anywhere else, but yeah, they have that option. They really do.
And it puts like a bug in your brain, like, what the hell? Like, I just got killed by ZywOo from default on A Where the hell is Flames? Where the hell is Apex? Where are they hiding? Like, what is happening? What is the setup? And now, meanwhile, these two guys are on B, like pushing B apps or something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's how you play Dust 2, essentially, spawn based. If you have a long spawn, you go long. It's happening even on Face It. But it feels like they are playing it on Mirage as well, which is super admirable because you can just go to your spots. It's not a spawn-based map, but they're not using it as, and that creates like this extra doubt in enemies.
Honestly, you can do. I think someone already has, but I think there's even more you can say just about Vitality's Mirage specifically in terms of the way they've played it, because you do get so many great examples of just different ways to play that CT side. I've seen them run. It's the most explicit example I've seen them do this thing where they leave map control and focus on heavy bonfire crossfires as their default, but then throw in the spice of mid control. Like, usually that's the opposite way around with the meta we saw established for a while on Mirage, where you're trying to take mid control, then you'll throw in other counter reads. They've done complete inversions. They've done, as we've said, strange setups with weird players on weird bomb sites paired with pushes. They've been really creative, and that's been honestly a joy to watch. As much as they have been dominant, you can say that gets boring. When you dominate like this, when it's so fun to watch, you can get all those nuances, you get highlight plays, you get the whole mix of what Counter-Strike has to offer. Screw it, let them win.
Screw it, let them win.
Yeah, let them win. Let them win. If they're doing this, they can win.
Yeah, all right. I don't think Mouse would agree. Look, speaking of Mouse, we have just a couple more minutes, and I want to test you on something because recently I've been thinking a lot about different trivia games. This like HLTV dropping the timeline game. It's made me think about all of these different fun games you could play.
Okay.
So I've been wanting to introduce them into the show quite a bit, and we did one last week, and it was really fun. So this week I want to test you on something. So I'll explain the game here. So the game here is Tension, is what it's called. I've stolen it from football influencers on Instagram. What I want you to do is I'm gonna give you 45 seconds, and I want you to name a bunch of players. And the goal is that you want to name the players that are in the top 10 of the category that I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say what it is yet because I'll give you the 45 seconds to think about it. And you get points the closer you are to position number 10. You get more points. But here's the tricky part: if you get number 11, 12, or 13 on the list, you get -3 points for each. So you can't just rattle off everybody. You have to think about it a little bit. You are actually on this list. You are in the top 13 somewhere. I'm not going to tell you if you're top 10 or 11 to 13, but okay. So I'm going to give you 45 seconds. So are you ready?
Yes.
And I'll tell you what the category is. I want you to name the top 10 out of players who have all-time most HLTV maps for mouse sports. Go.
Okay, Chris J, Ropes, Oscar. Then I will say STYKO, Sunny. Then I will say Frozen.
Yeah, halfway.
Holy. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Exertion. Torsi.
Yeah. 10 seconds.
I'm thinking. Who else?
Time's up, my friend.
I can't.
You got 8. You got 8.
Names?
You said 8 names, so you're pretty good here. You have a chance at getting 10 points. If you've got number 10, I'll give you 10 points.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm gonna go through it here. So from top to bottom, yeah, you're right, Chris J. Obvious number 1. He has over 1,500 maps for mouse sports. Rops number 2, actually over 1,000 maps. I didn't think that, but he actually has over 1,000 maps for mouse sports. But yeah, it's a long time. You then said Torji right at the end. He is actually number 4, and you also said Frozen, and he's number 3. Frozen has about 800 maps, also a crazy amount. Torji has 500. He's already the 4th most tenured mouse sports player, which I think is crazy for somebody who I think we still think of him as like an academy project. But yeah, he's yeah. You also said Zershan. He's number 8 on the list. He is just behind Kerrigan. He's 1 map behind Kerrigan.
Yeah, I want to say Kerrigan and Jimmy, I think.
Yeah. Oscar as well, like I said, number 5. You didn't mention Dennis, Kerrigan, or Speedy, and they are also on the list. But you did say Sunny, and he's number 9.
All right.
So you have 9 points. Speedy's number 10.
The one guess I wrote down.
Unfortunately, my friend, you are number 13, and I'm gonna have to give you -3 points there. You have 360 points, and Speedy is number 10 at 399. It's easy to forget the German players on mouse before.
We just replaced them, but I didn't think they were playing. They were playing so often. I forgot about there were like a lot of maps that you played back then, you know, like online tournaments. EPL was online. You farm a lot of maps there, and then they attended pretty much every single event where they played. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, but good job. 6 out of 10. I don't think that's bad anyway. Nico and Nex were the players who were 11 and 12. So if you're playing at home, if you said them, you also got -3 points. So leave a comment below what score you got if you played along. But I think that's about going to wrap up the show. We made pretty good time. I think we got talking about pretty much everything, and we're going to let you go.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming on the show. This was really fun.
Yeah, pleasure having you.
Likewise, thank you for inviting. It's always nice to talk about this Counter-Strike and in depth. You know, like I don't really want to talk about like scratching the surface, but if I get to go deep, it's really, really enjoyable for me as well. So I'm glad that you allowed me to do that, and I hope your viewers as well enjoyed it a little bit. So see you hopefully soon around. Maybe on the server, maybe on the camera. Doesn't really matter, but let's have some fun in CS.
Oh.
I doubt you're going to see me on the server, to be honest. And even less this guy. Like,
no, you're not seeing me ever, like, unless it's a show match for comedy purposes. Maybe some charities involved. Yeah, you're not seeing me on the server.
Let's run down some Face It, guys, later in the evening.
Yeah, perfect.
Rest in peace, Aurelo. All right.
Yeah, Yori. Yeah,
Yori. All right.
All right.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you as well.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you later. Bye bye.
Okay, STYKO's hot seat
That
is
was
over.
fun. Yeah, that was really fun. We made really good time there. I was about to stand up like the show was over. It's obviously not over. We're gonna carry on.
Yeah, we're still here. We're still kicking. We're still alive.
Yeah, we're still here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the show is not over, folks. Ignore a quack slip of the tongue there. STYKO's portion is done, and we thank him for his time. As always, it's very interesting to get a perspective from someone who is not just a competitor, or a former pro rather, but someone who's actively dealing with some of the issues. We sort of theorize, you know, we talk about how it could be, how it should be, like how certain things feel from the outside looking in. But I guess when you've actually experienced what the VRS grind is like, it's a little more personal. And it's much harder to detach yourself and just think about the floating numbers, the mathematics, and all that other stuff. But we do have, obviously, our big retake. Fissure, the first event of the season. Not exactly a big event, but it's got a HLTV MVP. And it is also featuring a lot of teams that we care about. Like, we are interested in these sort of tier 1.5 rosters, these rosters that are currently grinding their way up. That's always been one of our focuses, is essentially doing a form of charity work. Every other podcast wants to talk about the big events. I know that today HLTV confirmed are going to do their best impression of us and talk about Fissure, which is cute. But yeah, this is what we do week in, week out. Welcome to the slums, lads. Hope you enjoy talking about MUTiRiS rather than Apex for once. Let's get into it, though, with our first topic having to be this Tyloo roster. As Aslin puts it in the chat, China #1. In this case, yes, they very much are. They win the Fissure event entirely. Thankfully, I saw the odds for the final and went, you know what? That's a cheeky bet right there. Tyloo to win. And as can be often relied upon, the Danish, in a big event, choked. Or underperformed as soon as it mattered. And that came through. So yeah, Tyloo win. And honestly, the big takeaway has to be JamYoung is simply a star. He's not a good player on a Chinese team. He's not just fragging out against the Fengdars of the world. He is a legitimate star. Every time we see him play against tier 1.5 competition, the occasional tier 1 team, he just looks up for it. He looks good enough. You know, his aim is insane. His overall mechanics, you know, can be credited, but also his feel for the game. There's a brilliant round, I remember, from the grand final on Nuke, where he's popping out of heaven, getting a double kill, the third player isn't entirely known. They're vaguely aware there's a third player alive, and he immediately takes that second shot, just ducks and hides. Plays it perfectly. That player's then, searching for a man who no longer exists. They win the round quite comfortably off the back of it. It's more than just raw fragging. As much as the raw fragging was critical to winning that round, he does just swing out heaven, bang 2 people's heads. The part where he realizes he needs to preserve his life, that he could be caught off from a side angle, from a side swipe, that trading player, that's the key detail that makes, just a great aimer, a great player. And I think for me, JamYoung is going to be, by the end of the year, talked about. I mean, I've already got him top 15 in my riflers. If Tyloo can keep making good runs, and he keeps playing at this sort of rate, where we're talking 1.4 average rating, ridiculous impact in terms of actually winning rounds, I think he'll be in contention for that HLTV list. We'll just see how many EVPs he has to rack up to actually make that a viable conversation.
Yeah, they're obviously... look, I'm getting a little bit of deja vu because it was last year, round about this time of year, that Mongols won their first event, and they also had a bit of a standout player from in 9-10 during that event who picked up his first MVP at the Yalla Compass event. So I'm not ready to say that Tyloo are definitely gonna step into the top 10 position they now find themselves in. I'm not confident in saying that JamYoung is definitely going to make it onto the top 20 list. But it also could depend on how the year shakes out. Like
they've now got number 7 VRS seeding. Remember, they now have the rest of the year.
Yeah,
like the rest of the year is now theirs. Like they're going to be playing every event.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like that doesn't really matter if you still only win one game in the group stage and go out every time.
Sure.
So
sure.
Yeah. But this it's a really good stepping stone. Like it's a really, really, really good stepping stone for Tyloo as well. So, and also like if Vitality keep dominating, I think the case for JamYoung to make it into the top 20 list relative to a player on, say, like relative to another player on Mousesports or another player on, say, Navi or Aurora, then JamYoung definitely has a really good case in that case if Vitality keep winning everything. So there's definitely opportunities where that might happen. It's a crazy event to win. I did not expect them to win against Astralis, to be honest. I mean, they already did in the groups, but with a coach, no less. But I did feel that Astralis were really strong. I felt like Astralis... I'm playing with a coach. A manager. Manager. But they definitely had like... I feel like Tyloo had the easier side of the bracket. I feel like Astralis maybe were tested a bit more with... a pretty strong Bet Boom side and a Lin Vision side who were also really strong in the group. So I do really feel like there's a lot of the Astralis definitely probably should have won that game, I think. So
should have. As we said, it is the Danish way. Like you do have to spend a good 3 years before you actually get to stop choking. Like before you finally do the Heimlich, get that shit out your throat, and start winning events. That's just the Danish way. And look, we're going to get into Astralis in a bit, but I just want to just close out sort of the Tyloo chat, because you're right, there's no guarantee that they go on and just keep winning events and keep playing at a high level. But we have to say, since they've been with this 5, they've been like a pretty amazing team. Like in terms of where we thought they'd be, we think they'd be rough tactically, very combative, like high skill, but will it actually work? To a team who constantly, like throughout all these events we watched, put themselves in winning positions, and they aren't just playing off raw aim duels. They still have that factor. They're still incredibly mechanically like precise, and they do have a certain combative flair to their style. They're still playing near European like quality CS as far as the theory behind it. And then delivering off the back just massive fragging and, in some cases, insanely clutch performances. Like, they believe in themselves, they believe in the team as a group, and it just shows. Like, that confidence is a very important part of the game that we often overlook. Like, if you believe in yourself to win fights, you believe in your teammates to be in the right positions, to have your back, when they throw a flashbang, you think it's going to pop in the right place ahead of time, you don't, expect to be disappointed, you're going to be a successful roster. And that's, I think, what Tyloo looked like, a confident, successful team.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're really well drilled. I think they have really good vibes at this point as well. Like they have, every time I see a Tyloo player, I do feel like, yeah, they're enjoying playing this, being at this event. They're enjoying playing these games, and they're really enjoying playing their game. and they obviously have a lot of star power. Like we're talking about these players when we're talking a lot about JamYoung, obviously, but I wouldn't even say that it's like clear cut. He's by far the best star player. I think he is the best player on the team, but it's like there's a lot of different talent here as well. Like G is very talented, and Mercury and Moseu have both like been touted as really talented as well in the past. So that's really like skilled up and coming young players.
It's a huge boon to have a guy like Mercury, who we've talked about on that level before, is now the IGL.
Yeah.
Like that's supposed to be the weak point on the team, is the IGL in a lot of rosters. And you know, they have that benefit, as we talked about, you know, with the IGL playing in a rotator position. You don't mind having Mercury active on the CT side. You don't mind having him rotate spots. I mean, he does take, like almost 26% like opening attempts on the CT side. He is quite active. He's trading a lot, rotating into spots. Yeah, I'm happy to have that when it's this guy doing it, you know? They have that luxury. And I'm not saying that the rest of the team are bums when I talk about how great JamYoung is. I just think they have... JamYoung is a legit rifle star, like a #1 rifler on a team at a tier 1 level. Hell, if this team as a whole were playing top 8s, top 4s, people wouldn't be so scared to have that conversation about him being a top 10 rifler. Like, he's that strong mechanically. So there is a realistic chance that this team kicks on and does something in the coming sort of season. And with their great seeding now, expect to see them at every event. And if they, you know, if the ones that have already had their invites go out, they'll miss out, I guess, but they'll get to do everything else they want to do. They can boot camp in Europe and play every CCT playoffs. They can do a whole bunch of different stuff.
A quick sign out, something I might use for a few. Joking, the first coach who won the same event both as a coach and a player, like coaching
at the same time, yeah.
Because if you go on his profile now, he's got 2 trophies. One of them as a coach and one of them as a player, and they're from the same event. And I'm wondering if Sonic didn't have one. So.
That's got to be one of one. I don't think has there ever been a stand-in coach who then won the event. Not necessarily playing the entire time, but who stood in it and then coached and won the entire event.
I have just realized there is one more, and it's Red Jin from CS Summit with Mouse. When Kerrigan had to take a flight while the third map was going, Kerrigan had to leave and take a plane. So Red Jin.
CS Summit 5 and CS Summit 5. Yeah, he's got him.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna look into that. That's gonna be a future question. But that's
will I get it? Ooh.
It's a crazy event for Tyloo, and a crazy performance. Like even still, like against 3D Max, I didn't think it was a given that they would take that home. Against Saw, the way Saw played throughout this event, I didn't think it was a given that Tyloo would take that home. And
yeah, I actually bet on the upset for that one. So for the Saw match, I was like, look, it's MUTiRiS with a bunch of players who I don't think are good enough. They're probably going to win. That's usually how it works, right? I bet against MUTiRiS, I bet against his lineup. He makes it happen. Again, we'll talk about them in a bit, but yeah, the JamYoung explosion helps get them through that one. It's a very close series, 16-14, 13-10. Wasn't a bad bet, considering the odds. And 3D Max, honestly, I wish I could say I was confident going into it. Just 3D Max, take this home. I really wasn't. I've struggled with 3D Max of late, just to believe in them consistently beating these kinds of teams. I believe in them to, like, as we saw at this event, win 1 of 2 against the Chinese sides, and then win the deciders to make playoffs against a team of the caliber of Pain, maybe, who are having an off event. Like, I can believe in that, but see them do it consistently is a different thing, and they really haven't shown that of late. Like, they've been all over the shop. Like Austin, they beat FaZe to make it through stage 2, just to go out to Pain. It's a team that really are a bit Jekyll and Hyde, and when it works, it's fantastic. When it doesn't, it's cripplingly disappointing and kind of ugly.
We're not going to talk about 3D Max much more, but they have a new coach, so, there's a lot of change going to be happening there, so, big transitioning period, it takes a lot of time. The coach's name is That's the joke.
I was about to say, I just put the link in the chat because no one else is going to get that. Because why the hell would we haven't even covered it. We haven't even announced his name on our show. Why would anyone know that 3D Max's new coach? It's funny, to be honest. It's a great name for a French coach, given every French interview is 90% the words with a thick French accent. But all right, moving on from this this brilliant Tyloo performance, I think Astralis are fixed. And in that, they're now just the best Danish team in that sense. Like, they are going to keep making playoff appearances at real events. They're going to be pretty strong. They're going to choke. They are the top Danish team now. They've reached that role comfortably. Sure, it might be a weak point for the Danish scene overall, but I think this team will continue to grow. As much as continue to grow means at bigger events, they will also choke in the playoffs. I still think they're going to be a bigger threat going forward than they were in the last season, than they were with Cadian, they were at any given moment. So, yeah, this Hooksy-led side played good CS, got good performances out of Stown, Yabby, Stare, and Device at various points. Then it got to the big game, and Hooksy top-fragged, which was part and parcel with what I'm talking about. Like, that's exactly the problem. But I do think they played good CS. They looked comfortable and confident. You know, they took the fights they wanted to take. They hit their shots. Yabby. They actually did what you'd hope they would as a roster when they first assembled. And if you look at the talents they had, you're like, this could be a great team. Why isn't it? Well, part of it was Cadian. A part of it was, I'm sure, other distractions. Now we've reached a point where it's looking steady and looking, fixed is the way I want to put it.
Can I just say, saying Astralis are now the best Danish team is such a nothing, because that you're just saying they're better than Ecstatic, and I think they were always. Was
yes,
there any
I mean,
point this year
there was a
Astralis
wider
were worse
point
than
as
Ecstatic?
far as what we expect
I mean,
the best
yeah.
Danish team to be. I think if we overlook that, sure, every point I have made is
All right, yeah,
redundant.
okay.
But yeah,
You're saying something to the effect of something that I would say, that they are now actually the best Danish team. That's what you're saying. Yeah, right. Even if they were always. All right. Anyway, yeah,
just
I think
piss
they do.
on my set dressing. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just piss on it. Why not?
No,
Yeah.
I think Astralis were always maybe a top 3 candidate to win the event. Especially going into playoffs, I definitely felt that it was going to be between them or Gamer Legion. And Gamer Legion, unfortunately, didn't really show their best game versus that.
Yeah.
In that
Speaking
Bedroom
of teams
series.
who love to choke as soon as it matters, they've had a few frustrating losses this year that a bit like you should be.
Yeah, I mean, they do.
Winning that.
They do also have a new Whopper here, who I think would be expected to choke a little bit in his probably his first on stage playoff game of at least of this caliber. So
Yeah, I mean,
actually,
maybe he's played like a Charleroi Masters type bullshit, but like some French event. But...
What's that LAN the Prodigy guy puts on? The Prodigy agency guy. Like every year they go and send. It's something like Le LAN or something.
I mean,
Le Bosch.
Gen 1 and Saint-Pas-la-Force have attended La Coupe, which he played
La
in.
Coupe, yes, La Coupe. That's the one. They put it on pretty much every year.
So he's played that. That's what I'm saying. It's some French bullshit. Like, it's not the same thing.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like the winners of the last one were called 11 Minutes Late, and it was, well, a team you'd recognize all the players on, except for Azidot, but like it's a random ass team.
Yeah, well, we're all over the place. Astralis, I do feel like they should have gone into this feeling that we're going to win this event, and
hence why they didn't.
Hence why they didn't. Yeah, and it's the dry spell continues. Astralis haven't won an event since 2020, so insane to say. But that's the way the news goes. I don't have a lot of notes on them. I did feel like going into the final, I did feel like they were going to win. And as we say, they will choke. It also didn't feel unexpected when I found out that Tyloo had won. So
when I'm watching it, I was just like, yeah, this is what I expect to see in a big final. When I'm like, Tyloo are heavy underdogs on the betting odds, obviously.
Yep.
Thank you very much for that. And JamYoung, I've never seen him like in as many as he's not really played a whole bunch of big events, but like he's also in these playoffs just looked really strong. Not surprised when he shows up in the final and the riflers on the other side of the server didn't. You know, that was kind of... It just felt right. It just made sense. So I think Astralis are going to be a strong team this season. How strong they can be will be dictated by at what point, basically, they decide to underperform. Hopefully, it's more quarterfinals and semis than group stage deciders. And also...
They're making enemies a bit, Astralis, just briefly. I do feel like they had a lot of kerfuffle with different teams.
Well, they had a very justified kerfuffle with BetBoom, who, funnily enough, at their Orc sponsors LAN got to kind of violate the general consensus rules of Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Art Frost, take your fucking hat off. Show us that monstrous hairline you have. Show us how disgusting your hair is. Stop cheating.
We assume he has a horrible hair. I don't think he's ever taken the hat off. Like, he could have flowing locks of hair under there. So
He definitely doesn't.
I don't know. Innocent until proven guilty in that regard. But there's but I feel like Astralis, they're getting into more and more trouble because they're typing during chat. Like, apparently Stown and Yabi very often, like during timeouts, they'll try to get a rise out of the opposing players by typing random stuff, which is apparently, you know, I guess I think they do it on purpose because it probably works. It probably tilts the opposing team, but it doesn't exactly help with the I'm not even gonna say bad boy image that I think Stown and Yabi have, because I think they have more asshole image.
They really don't have bad boy image.
No, they don't. But that's what a pundit would say. But I'm just gonna say they have a dickhead.
They would not. They would find some way of articulating that they are kind of ratty because it works both.
Yeah.
In terms of the narrative and aesthetically.
If they were winning, it would be a bad boy status. That's the thing. Now it's just cunt. So
yeah, if everything you do that's supposed to make you a bad boy is typing in chat, you wouldn't ever get that tag. Like, come on,
you're a bit abrasive, is what I mean. Like, you're abrasive. You're like, you know, that sort of thing. You make enemies.
Would be the best way to put it.
Yeah, but if you're winning, then that's what. Anyway,
you'd be an asshole. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I really do feel like it doesn't help that. They really do just seem like bigger assholes more and more. So unlucky. Good luck next time. And yeah.
Look, we expect them to,
they're still number 6 on VRS.
Yes, they're still very high on VRS. We expect them to be good. I mean, everyone took a huge bump off of this event.
Yep.
And for once, for Boomich, not the kind we expected. So we keep seeing the value of these events. And look, for a team like Astralis, I think going into next season, they're going to try and... This is the sort of event they have to win, right? Like, in the next sort of season, they're not going to expect themselves to win Cologne, to win maybe even a Pro League. Certainly not the Major. They're not going to be favourite for any of that stuff. But the VRS gains they can get off of winning or going deep at these events will just keep them, like, freely going upwards. In terms of points, my god, a couple teams did take losses at this event, and notably Furia took an 11-point loss, 3 ranking spots. Heroic took a 29-point loss and 7 ranking spots. Like,
yeah, that was bad. That was.
But almost everyone else,
like
without fail, went up. Like, Saw got 39 spots off the back of this and 361 points. Jesus, even Falcons. What?
Yeah, this just factors in all the VRS changes, I think.
Oh, okay. That's about to say, why is Falcons on this event page? They certainly did not attend.
When it's a tier 1 license event, I think they show all of the teams in the... Even those that didn't actually attend.
Confused.
The lowest ranked non-attending team here is Liquid, so I'm assuming it's like all the top 20 teams plus the ones that attended.
Yeah, so like MIBR, they didn't make playoffs. They lost twice to Astralis, beat VP. They took a win out of this, like in terms of VRS, so it's free. It's just free.
VP lost 5 spots. I think a lot of these changes as well is because Heroic, when you looked at their match pages, they only lost, like they took 2 losses and they only lost a single spot per game, like per loss. But they end up losing 7 because in between there, like the teams that surpass them are the ones who are successful here. So you had the playoff teams who end up above them, with basically Gamer Legion move past them, 3D Max move past them, because they made playoffs. I think Astralis even were lower ranked than Heroic before, so they definitely moved past them. Tyloo, obviously, one that we talked about. So that's basically where they lost out, and that's the unfortunate truth of it. Yeah, I think maybe we're about ready to move on to one of these teams which did have a big success, which is Saw. We've already touched on them a little bit, and it's the enigmatic. None of their new players looked good, and they still looked better.
Yeah, it doesn't actually make any sense anymore.
No.
MUTiRiS, my guy, How do you
He
do
has
it?
the hand of God, and when he touches a
Literally.
roster, they go deep.
Yeah, it's this weird Portuguese Midas touch that turns kind of middling Portuguese players into, I don't know, decent pieces that are also kind of buyout bait, as NIP have found.
Yeah,
Like,
buyout bait. Yeah,
he keeps making it work. He can't keep getting away with it. But yeah, Crazy and Aragorn, the two newest players, I believe, both of them bottom-rated players on the team, 0.98, 0.87. And yet this team made semi-finals off the back of Achille with a 1.11 and Stories 1.03. Fucking fantastic. But a big MUTiRiS performance in the quarterfinal they won, which was a key factor in getting them there. But he's what, like 30-something? Why is he still such a relevant factor? It makes no sense.
Yeah,
but this team
32.
is exactly, that's 30-something. This team is, yeah, continuing to deliver, continuing to shine, despite all the roster turmoil, but despite all the problems they often have. It just keeps working.
Yep. Crazy. I think there. I don't see it that much when I watch, but I think there is some raw talent in most of these players, more so than we give them credit for. Coming from the Portuguese scene, it's a little bit. There's a lot of local play, and there's a lot of random works that don't really manage. They don't really break into greater European play as much, so you don't see these players as much. But both Achille and Crazy, I know, have been talked about as being very, very, very well regarded talent-wise, and I think that's sort of one of the reasons why Saw sometimes works is because they manage to use that to win the occasional game and such. This is obviously, it's not like a big individual carry performance. It's just like the quality is there, and sometimes it rears its head whenever they feel like it, I guess. But I'm not ready to say that this Saw team is going to be any good. Just the same as last week, I wasn't ready to say that this Saw team was going to be any good. Just the same as before Cologne, I wasn't ready to say Cologne last year. I wasn't ready to say Saw was going to be any good. Just the same as before literally any event where Saw have had any like tiny lump of success, I wasn't ready to say that this Saw team was going to be any good. So, I don't know what the hell is going on. This team is annoyingly successful, I think.
Yeah, that's the best way to put
And
it.
they're very
Annoying. Just
very
annoying.
much yeah. It's not even funny. Like an underdog story is cool, but this is not even funny. Just stop, please.
Yeah. We've sawn enough.
No.
One of
It's
our
awful.
teams that flopped, thank you, that absolutely flopped. A team we are both, very heavily invested in. Absolutely flopped. So we have to pass judgment now. We have to decide what we took away from this event. Heroic, the debut, now officially Swedish, which is probably half the issue. They are officially listed as Swedish. They can't be top 50 for very long. They have to slide way the fuck back down. It's 2025, not 2015. Sweden, no longer relevant, clearly. But we were both obviously committed to this team being good. We still potentially think they could be, but they went straight home in last place, losing 2-1, 2-1, once to their old enemy in Big, who just seemed to always beat them, and then once to BetBoom, who made top 4, not the most embarrassing loss, a team that had some fluidity in terms of they made a move, but it's an AWP for AWP. It's an AWP who's already comfortable with them, comfortable in the language. Relative to integrating the pieces, Heroic were, it's not exactly the biggest ask, but still, I do have to comment, just have to address it. I'm still a bit shook about things I was confused / unsure about before when it comes to the role of the riflers, who's taking over from xCloud exactly, how this is going to work in the long run. I did some demo analysis just for myself, didn't end up making it into a real video. I mean, I did a brief video addressing the teams that went out in last place at this event, but for me, I did some more analysis just of watching this Heroic side play, and between Tanir and Nilo, I've not got exactly what I want to see in terms of filling xCloud's roles and taking those those important fights with consistency. I'm seeing a bit too much switching out. I'm seeing both players rather playing somewhat off, somewhat passive. And then my big question, as I raised this in the video, if it's 12-11 and my call is to take mid control on the CT side, for example, on Ancient, who's doing it? Like, I don't feel like I have that answered already. I feel like I have to wait for one of the two to put their hand up. Like, or be like, oh, okay, my spawn's better. Because when I had xCloud, there was no question. It's like, I need mid control.
Yeah.
xCloud is doing it. And Tanir's playing off his shoulder if we need a 2-man. There was no ifs and ums and ahs and, oh, maybe I've seen this, or I guess this worked. Like, no. It was, this is what we're doing. This is who's doing it. We can address the rest afterwards. I feel like that aspect is missing.
Yeah, I think it's way too early to give a proper judgment on this team. There's a lot of things that changed, and I'm very much a defender of giving 3 months to let things like this work out, especially when you've had a coach change after a very successful previous partnership, and you've had a new Opper after a pretty successful previous partnership, and you also have a new Rifler who was, as we know, pretty dubious coming in. Like, there's a reason why they've only just come in. And that's obviously going to be a sensitive issue, and that's something which needs to be managed the right way. So, I'm before I give my my proper idea of what I think about this team, I'm going to let 3 months pass, and I'm going to let a couple of games play out. But if I'm looking at this, it's very close losses against teams that I think this Heroic roster, they are relatively, I won't say comfortable playing, but they play them often. I think it's a very familiar matchup. We've had the head-to-head against Big. You do say Big seem to always beat them. Heroic have beaten them in the prior 2 games. One of them was a best of 5 final in a LAN event.
Yeah, but there's been a couple of occasions now where it's Heroic should beat Big beat them, and it's like both times start of the season, both times kills a bit of the buzz, and you're like, it's kind of a repeat. It was just one time.
It was the Katowice. It was
still a repeat though. It still really happened. It still annoyed us and frustrated us and left us in a spot where Heroic had to then play online for a while because they didn't get the seeding they needed off the back of that.
Yep. For Bet Boom, they've only played them twice before. One of them was a best of 1, and the other one was online. But it was still a very close game. I feel like both of these games are close matchups, closer than the ranking would suggest that it would be. And I do feel like maybe Heroic are a little bit back to square one, because over the last season, one of the things we saw improve over the course of the season was Heroic. They were always capable of punching upwards. I think we saw it from the start that Heroic were able to, already as early as Katowice, they were able to beat Liquid. They were able to beat teams that were on, and even give a pretty good fight to Spirit. Like, they were able to play close maps and to win maps and to win series against teams that definitely on paper were better than them, like right out of the gate. But what their downfall was that they were losing games to the teams ranked well below them. So Heroic were sitting pretty comfortably in the top 15. They were still losing games against teams ranked 20 to 40. And that's not good. But over sort of at the halfway point of the season, that's when that sort of started to change. And I think the only loss they took to a team that I would consider to be significantly lower ranked than them, like in that 20 to 40 range in the second half of the spring season, was Nemiga at the major, and that was obviously a tough loss as well. It was the tough best of 3, and a bit of an anomaly. I think all of us felt that Heroic were going to win that game going into it, but yeah. And I feel like maybe it's a little bit back to square one at this point. This is both coming into the event ranked number 18 on HLTV, 11 on VRS, solidly inside the top 20. They're playing against Big, who are 25th at the time of the game, and they're playing against Betboom, who were 34th. It might be back to square one that this is the issue that they had at the start of last season, and now they need to spend the first half of this season working it out, which is a shame. But I think that's sort of just what they have to do. That's one of the effects they're going to need to see out of integrating Grix into this team and integrating Nilo into this team. But yeah, I don't have a big takeaway. I don't feel like anybody stood out as being particularly poor, and I don't think anybody stood out as being particularly good. Youngster had a great first series, but a worse second series, and we didn't really see that much out of Grix. Like, relative to where I want these players to be, I think Grix is maybe the biggest letdown, but it's still not to the point where I'm like, I feel like it was a mistake, or where I feel like it's not going to work out in the long term. So yeah.
Yeah, of course.
My judgment.
My entire point was not to be this team is dead and doomed. I'm just saying the concerns I originally had raised their heads pretty much exactly as I thought they might in this opening matchup.
Yeah, I don't think it's worrying. I think it's to be expected. So I'm ready. I think my expectations were higher. My expectations were they would make it deeper. and that we would see them in playoffs, maybe at the minimum make the quarterfinal, especially with the opponents they played. Again, I feel like they should have beaten both of them. So we'll see how things shake out in Cologne. They have a pretty good bracket there. If I'm just looking forward, because that's probably going to be. It's just at this point, every game is just more data. But this is obviously they're playing NIP, which is a team. Previously, they were I don't know where NIP. No, that's also a lower ranked team than them. As a team, Heroic should be beating if you're looking at the ranking alone. And on the other side of the bracket, you have 3D Max and MIBR, which is
it's not an easy event, honestly, for them. Like it's not an easy match to start off with, but it's also, yeah, you're what if you go down, you're facing 3D Max and MIBR. Neither one's a free win. You know, there's no free win in this bracket for them. There's no offense. There's no FlyQuest. And even then, that's about as easy as this bracket gets, and that's not easy.
But you're also not running into Aurora. You're also not running into Tyloo or Astralis, who are hot off the back of a grand final. FaZe is here, and they're missing them, which they didn't the last time when they went to IM Dallas. So all of 3D Max and MIBR and NIP are realistic wins for Heroic. So it would definitely be really good for them.
Yeah.
It's I would say it's very close. 3D Max, sort of, we talked about it earlier, maybe in a bit of a downturn. MIBR as well, with dubious roster changes. Also needing to warm into having a roster with Nyx, and an experienced player who didn't really do too much at this event either. So there's every reason to think that Heroic could win both of those games. But yeah, for this event, I'll wait and see. But it's about par for the course, I think.
Yeah, I'd say it's a bit below, but look, they've got time, obviously. They've got enough of a seeding, like sort of a ranking place, I guess. Like they've got a strong enough place in the rankings to be competitive the rest of the year, to be in the events they want to be in, especially if they win a couple games in Cologne. If they make stage 2, they're very happy. So that's roughly where I'm at with Heroic. I'm just a little concerned with so far what I've seen. And yeah, I didn't even touch on Grix being almost non-factor, but I'll let that develop. It's not the easiest thing to go from speaking, your native tongue to an international one, still demanding the same resources, calling for the same flashes, doing everything on timing. It's a different sort of adjustment for him, so I'll let that be.
Yeah.
All right, that kind of gets us towards the end of our Fissure main points that I had lying around. Do you have any other takes to address? Any other details that you think are pertinent, like a team that you think maybe we've not talked about that you think we should have?
I think we have touched on everything. I think it's worth mentioning LinVision, just mentioning their name. I just think this was a very positive event for them. Once again, probably maybe shouldn't even have made it out of the group stage when you had 3D Max and Pain. Pain being very hit or miss, but we're talking about, major semifinalist team just one event prior. And they go and beat them 2-1. And 3D Max as well. 3D Max were the favorites and going into that game by the ranking. I think it was close in the prediction, but then the game ends up being a pretty conclusive LinVision win, and that's positive. That's really good. So it's not just Tyloo, it's not just all them. There's, once again, very talented players on LinVision, of course. Emilia, maybe going back to his non-Austin major performance. But here also you have Story, you have Zacher. Yeah, yeah, but here you have Story, you have Zacher, who are even called Misu, who put in a couple of good reps
there's
here.
Some talented guys, but yeah, really to win those series they won. Zacher bombed Pain, just absolutely crushed them, and then Starry against 3D Max. Yeah, we've seen this potential from Starry. We've talked about him in the past, potentially being a prospect. We've seen him put up great numbers in shock performances against elite teams. But this is the sort of thing, he's capable of. He's really a talented guy, so we can't be too shocked when LinVision get it right. It's just often we are expecting them to get it wrong more often than they do. Get it right, that is. And as we saw in the playoffs against Astralis, pretty one-sided. They're not actually of quite that caliber, but they're working on it. The Chinese scene are getting incredibly strong, and we do have to say, there's been talk about what's the second strongest scene. I don't know why this was a conversation. It's been Asia over NA for a while. Let's be real. It hasn't been NA number 2 for. I mean, when did Mongols get good? Since Mongols have been good, not great, good. NA has been borderline dead, and they've been better than them, just almost single-handedly.
Yeah,
let's put it that way.
Asia's been over North America for maybe 4 years, but South America, I'm not so sure. And that's where I think the biggest change happening this year. That's why I think it's a conversation, is because I think now there's a case for Asia is definitely above Americas as a whole, North and South America, where before we still had a lot of very strong, like we used to talk about them a lot in the last fall season, where we had a lot of these middling Brazilian teams that were very fun to watch and very impressive and had a lot of promise. Also, again, a lot of talented players. This was the time when we had Furia sort of dropping down into that layer. We had MIBR with a very talented roster. We had Pain showing some of the stuff they've been showing this year. Imperial were pretty good. And you even had like Legacy were showing you stuff even then. Fluxo, always a bit of an X Factor team, I feel like, with the resources they have and the teams they can build. So you had a lot of this. 9Z still not really out of the question. Bestia coming up. Like, again, a lot of stuff happening over there, but we sort of don't really have that right now. I would definitely take both Tai Lu and probably also Lin Vision over any South American team that isn't Pain or Furia. And in terms of North American,
I don't think Lin
Complexity
Vision
is the
should
one you
be in
can
that
have.
conversation yet, but yeah, it's getting to that point.
Because I just feel like the gulf between Fury and Pain down to MIBR and Imperial is much bigger than it used to be. It's not as close.
Yeah, but the problem is, we have it on record. Like Legacy did knock out Lin Vision in the major. Lin Vision they're not in that ilk. They're not of that caliber yet. I think they're still developing. As fun as they are, they're not there yet.
I'd still take them over MIBR, to be honest. I just think that's where I'm at this moment. MIBR are down, Lin Vision are up. But again, then you also have Mongols. So like you could probably pick an Asian team to put above every other North and South American team at the moment, and you'd end up with Asia being number 2. I think that's why it's a conversation. Last year it wasn't so clear cut because Tai Lu were still quite far adrift. Rare Adam.
Last year, if you look
really
at like sort of halfway through the year, the ranking. I just picked June. I just looked. It's dire for everyone who's not European. Like 11 is Mongols. Furia are at 18. You then have some other Brazilian teams pretty close to them. As you said, Furia fell into that layer because they were so bad. But Tai Lu last year are in the midst of their like chaos. Who's our IGL? How are we going to structure our team? We just stole everyone from Rare Atom. What do we do now? Like they were in the middle of this sort of in-between rosters period where they weren't very good, and now they are excellent. Yeah, we have to give them that credit. But yeah, obviously that part last year, I see it as fair enough. Yeah, maybe not over the entirety of Americas. That's fair enough.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's a conversation, since that's also the distinction that matters at this point. With how the VRS is structured, there are 3 continents or 3 regions, and those are the ones we have to care about. So, yeah. But I think that wraps up the Fissure. Why the fuck do they name it Fissure? That's like
because they used to call it Bet Boom, but that was too obvious that they were cheating in favor of Bet Boom. So now they have to call it something else. Sue me.
Yeah, but why Fissure? Why you can name it like you might just as well name it like a Hemorrhoids Playground 1.
Yes, they should call it that. I agree. We should petition to rename
really
it
funny,
Hemorrhoids.
to be honest.
Hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
Just hemorrhoids, nothing else.
Firo in the chat earlier when we were talking to STYKO just wrote quote unquote Fissure's painful, which is
that's scrolling down there,
yeah.
That's in the topic scroll.
Oh. All right, yeah.
That's a reason. All right, we do have more to talk about, including the new update. Let's start off with the thing that everyone's been endlessly talking about, obviously. Overpass is now in the map pool, and I saw that and I was like, fuck yeah. Then I was like, wait, this is Valve. What have they removed? Which perfectly viable, borderline entertaining / elite map have they cut in favor of Overpass? And I looked, and it was Anubis. Like, brilliant. Yeah, why not? One of the more interesting maps in the pool. Screw it, just cut that. And instead, let's keep playing the yellow monotony of Dust 2 and Mirage every event for the rest of my fucking waking nightmare of a life. Could have just got rid of the worst map in the pool right now. Dust 2 is the worst map in the pool. I don't care how popular it is with players. It'll always be popular with players because they have nostalgia and small brains. So they will love an easy map that feels familiar. It's 3 straight lines and a couple tunnels. Of course, players like it. It's trash. And to watch at a high level, you have to pretend you didn't fall asleep between second 15 and 1:45. Like, you have to pretend that minute 30 was thrilling and entertaining. Like, oh, I did love the part where everyone sat still in mid and waited. That's it. That's all that happened. Like, oh wow, what a thrilling game of Dust 2 I just watched. The site execute was brilliant. But no, instead, yep, goodbye Anubis. A viable, if a little unbalanced map, considering how we expect Counter-Strike to be played. And hello Overpass. A map that will be fun at a pro level for about 3 years. Players will try it 3 times and then complain about it until it gets removed in 3 years' time. That is exactly what's going to happen. Write it down.
Unfortunately, I think that's true. Yeah.
It's just too good a map for common players. That's the problem. It's the reason they don't play Train either. Like, it's just too good a map for them. Train, actually, I do think still has some problems, but it is, again, just too complicated and has too much potential for the average person. Just give me 3 lanes and some tunnels, please. Yellowish, 3 lanes, tunnels. That's all a player wants.
Anubis was really fun. I didn't get why we removed Anubis. Even if Cash was coming in, I feel like Anubis was the wrong move. I'm assuming it's more a Premier change than a pro player change. And you could say that, like, oh, they don't like unbalanced maps. Well, no, but they also removed Overpass, which wasn't exactly overly balanced either. That was one of the reasons why they removed it. I can't really see why they made this map pool change. I don't like that they made this map pool change, and that's about all I have to say about the map pool. I would have loved Overpass is fine. I didn't really like when they removed it either, but I guess at the time I did because I hated playing it. But then I've played it since, and it's actually kind of fun. But
I always enjoyed playing it. I always thought it was a map where I could either actually lurk in sort of mid-level sort of Premier sort of play, or matchmaking back in the day, or I could actually, if I was herding cats, quite easily herd them into specific locations. Like, it was quite easy to call certain rushes. It was quite easy to get, like, certain map control using terrible players, but, like, one good flashbang. Because, the contrast, you've got the B site, heavily stacked with players, pretty great popping point. You can really, you just need one of them to have a smoke that they can accidentally hit a molly with, and then you just throw a couple good flashbangs and you get them out in space. The other side of the map, usually pretty empty. CTs either have to be coordinated and aggressive in matchmaking, or they're going to be very spread out, and with the right flashbang over long, for example, an AWP's taking a blind shot and running, and then you've just got 5 dudes in his face. So you had a lot of, like, more viable options in mid-level Premier play or matchmaking play, but at pro level, it was a beautiful map. Like, we're talking a map where AWPers got into, like, counter-pick battles. CT sides had to be aggressive if they want to take control of certain space and not get overrun, just because of the great distances you had to cover and all of the, like, unknown info you'd lose if you weren't even trying to establish yourself in certain positions. And then also you had to set up great crossfires and have good mechanics to defend the other bomb site. Whilst on T side, you had all that space to lurk through with all the little sneaky entrances to the bomb sites, all the little extra hidden paths there were through the map that were kind of obscured. There was a lot of different play possible on Overpass. It was one of the coolest maps. Players are going to hate it. I'll give it 3 months before they start complaining en masse and try to get it removed.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like, map pool change. Meh. It's meh. Dust 2 is still here, so I'm still unhappy.
As long as Dust 2 exists, fuck the map pool.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of players say this. Just to set you off a little bit, do you think this is the worst map pool we've had? Because I've seen players say this.
Players say a lot of things.
But when do you think it was worse?
Oh, you're asking a lot of my fucking memory. Holy crap. I don't... The thing is, we are in a bit of an awkward spot with a very rusty, I guess, sort of imperfect edition of Train, we have the 2 yellow boring maps, the 2 dusty maps. I think Inferno is still playable. It's just it's getting dry at the pro level because of the way Banana tends to shake out. I think it's getting a bit dry. I think there needs to be a shift in Inferno somewhere. So I think that's probably not on the rise exactly. What else is good about the map? Well, I think Ancients are still an outstanding map. A lot of people hate it. I still think it's great. There's always someone complaining about that map, to be honest. And I still think Nuke is outstanding. So I think it could be worse. I mean, I think we've had worse probably when we had Vertigo in the pool. At rarest points, we've had like... Did we have Vertigo and Dust 2 in the pool at the same time?
Back in the day, yes. Because they took Dust 2 out, and it was glorious.
Yeah, we had moments where, you know, everything was peaceful. And then the Dust Nation attacked. And yeah.
Yeah, and then Dust 2 came back, and Spirit became good. But we did have both of them at the same time for a while. It was when most people were permabanning Vertigo, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's in a great spot, but I think it could get pretty strong if Train gets, you know, worked a bit, you know, certain angles changed, certain details adjusted, and then Overpass, it's I've had a brief look around. You know, I've not really played a full game of it. I feel like it's going to play very similarly, except for the additions of the smoke pops, which is just going to be, I think I've kind of talked about this somewhere else, it kind of changes everything in both directions. As much as you do get advantages from being able to pop before your B execute to like catch out certain B anchors trying to get creative in their positioning, you also get the opposite's true. You can pop that smoke open for your AWPer to take a line. You can pop open the smokes that you might throw yourself towards party to then get that sort of pick. There's a lot of options that have opened up for both sides. So I don't think it's clear-cut which one benefits from it being CS2 rather than CSGO. But I do think it's a map that's going to be quality. So with enough time, this map pool could be really good.
Yeah.
I just don't think people are going to accept that yet. And I do think Anubis was the wrong removal.
I do think that's the case. I would have rather seen, especially for Overpass coming in, I would have rather seen Dust 2 go out and Overpass come in, because at that point we're taking away an aim-heavy, one-dimensional map with one which is at least, you know, it feels more dynamic, and that I would have enjoyed a bit more. So yeah. What is the economy change? I didn't actually play the game after the update came out.
So the baseline comment in the updates is $50 kill reward for the team every CT side kill.
Whole team?
I believe so. I believe that's the phrasing. I might be wrong on that, but I don't think it does make sense to divide it. So $10 each.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, is it that one person gets $50 when they get a kill, only on the CT side, or is it that everybody gets $50 when anybody gets a kill?
So the phrasing is counter-terrorists now receive a $50 team award for each terrorist eliminated in a round.
So yeah, so if you win a round by killing all 5 players, the team gets $250.
Yeah, or if you lose to a bomb explosion but you get all 5 exits, or total 5 kills, yeah, $250 each.
Yeah. Fringe case, but yeah, it's still like you could get $150 even in a losing round. Okay, yeah, I guess that discourages. It's to discourage just outright saving.
It encourages exits rather than discouraging saving, because yes, you get money for getting the exits, but you're not going to get your armor, Kevlar, and 3 nades out of it. Like you're going to get small bonuses. So it encourages looking for exits in a smart way, but it also means on rounds 1 you stack up more money. That's quite an important part, I think, as well.
I still think I think the fix we should have is to remove the lowest loss bonus, remove the baseline, or raise the baseline to the 190 instead, or 1900 rather than 1400. I still think that's a change we should have, but let's see how this plays. Maybe this is just the tiny little movement we need. I think they did also slightly buff the CT molly, didn't they?
It spreads more rapidly. So either that means it reaches,
but still small,
it reaches its maximum faster, which I don't think would be that big a deal, or I'm not sure what it actually does. I actually haven't tested the incendiary. That's one thing I also neglected to do, is test the incendiary.
3 clicks fill it. probably has. So
Or if he,
I'll-
or he's currently editing the video. But yeah.
yeah, no. All right. Yeah. Good changes, I guess. Let's see how the economy changes play out. But I like that. Buffing CT economy is what we need to do.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out, but I don't know if it's enough. For me, especially nerfing the MP9 alongside it.
Yeah.
I'm still not very happy with the CT side right now. Like, the MP9 being viable was one of the few things that kept CT play viable. So $50, is that really enough? But yeah, Army Potent, thank you. Yeah, it reaches maximum faster. That's how I read it, which is cool
Right.
and all, but the CT Molly was shit. And we've talked about how it needs to be better for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, mostly I just feel like I don't know why it's so narrow. I think Flamesy said the same thing in a Talking Counter episode, and ever since I've been doing it. But basically, like anytime he sees a CT molly when he's playing, he just runs through it because it's such a nothing factor. And he's absolutely right, because I never lose a fight when I push a CT molly. It's pretty much, you can just neglect it. But I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it's a difference of like a fraction of a second, which I guess is also like a factor where before you could like scooch past it right as it landed, much easier when you can't do that anymore.
I guess it's made it slightly better, but it's in terms of we need it to be leagues better. We didn't need it to be slightly better. Like for the extra 600, for the extra money you spend on it, and it to be worse than the Team Ollies outright.
Yeah, was
a problem.
Yeah. And I have just looked this up. I pulled up the 3 clicks Philip video. Yes, it's a $250 team income for everyone gets $250. This is pretty big.
Well, yeah, that was. What did you not get about that? Like, yeah, it's per person. Otherwise, it'd be useless.
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know. In my head, I was doing like $50. Yeah. No. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. So all in all,
it'd be so terrible if it wasn't for everyone.
No, but all in all, the whole team gains like over 1,000. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. I like it. Let's see how it plays. Maybe when we play Face It with STYKO later.
Lamau, right?
Right. I have a fun game for you, and this is a different game. I've workshopped so many games. I've spent a lot of time in this, but this is one which I think can be really fun. So this is Counter-Strike Imposters, and I'm going to challenge you. This is a very simple game. I'm going to name 8 players who have played for a certain team, and without looking it up, I want you to name which 3 didn't play for that team. So there's 5 correct, 3 incorrect, and you have to guess which ones. So this is a depot. This is really testing your 2017, 2018 knowledge.
Okay, let me grab the fucking notepad. The notepad that, by the way, I wrote one thing down during that fucking challenge you did for STYKO. I wrote one thing down. I wrote 10 to 1, and then I wrote 10 Spiddy. And I was just like, yeah, I fucking got it. That's the only thing I got. I was like, who would be in 10?
You got 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I got Spiddy. That was it. I literally left everything else blank because I was like, I'm just going to shoot my shot.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the roster?
All right. Oh, yeah, these are the 8 players.
Wait, I have to guess the roster? Or I have to guess...
You have to guess which ones played for Red Reserve.
Red Reserve. There we go. That's what I need to know, because otherwise I'm just shooting fucking empty randomly.
And this like they were part of the team. They were part of the team playing. Red Reserve had a really messy roster history. Yeah, I'm not going to throw you some bullshit thing that like Boobski played 2 maps and therefore he's in this. I'm not going to throw you some bullshit like that. This is like they were part of the team. So,
2017, 2018, right?
Ish, yeah. Any time in Red Reserve's history, but they were around at that time, so that's why it's testing your knowledge at that time. Yeah. Right. So here's the roster of 8 players. 5 of them are real, 3 of them are fake. Hampus.
Yeah.
Isak. Plopski. Freddy B. KNGV. Relaxa. Rops. And HS. So I've just named 6 Swedes, 2 Estonians, and a Brazilian.
That's 9. You said 6 Swedes, 2 Estonians, and a Brazilian. That's 9.
Okay, 5 Swedes. 5
There we
Swedes.
go.
Sorry.
That makes more sense.
Hampus, Isak, Plopsky, Freddy B, KNGV, Relaxa, Robs, and HS.
B.
Yep, Freddy B.
Not Freddie B. Not Freddie B, right?
The three of them are
played for
imposters.
everyone. Never very well, but he has played for everyone. Okay, I think KNG is the biggest bullshit. Like, there's no way he played on Red Reserve. I'm trying to cast my mind back, because back then I wasn't even following the scene at that depth. So I'm trying to glimpse, like, I was in attendance at DreamHack events where Red Reserve played. So I know Relaxer. I know pretty certain Plopskis, the first name I actually wrote down. I feel like Hampus and Isak are good guesses for, like, on the rise. Then my fifth, I'm trying to think. I think it has to be HS, is my guess. Because, again, he's played for everyone. So those are the five I've gone for. Plopsky, Relaxer, Hampus, Isak, HS. I don't think KNG. I don't think whoever the other Estonian was. And I don't think Freddie B. I think Freddie Frog, but not Freddie B, has played for Red Reserve. But I could be entirely wrong on that. But yeah, this is for me the deepest of pulls. Like, I am not well versed on this era of Swedish low tier CS. How wrong am I?
So the players you've locked in, just to verify, the imposters you were saying is Freddie B,
Yeah,
KNGV.
yeah.
No, sorry. Yeah, and then who?
The other Estonian or whatever it was.
I had Rops and HS.
Yeah, it's not Robs. Robs is
Robs,
an
okay.
imposter.
I can tell you, you have successfully identified one imposter. Take a guess which one.
Robs?
Yes.
Fuck off, did KNG play in Red Reserve? Oh my god.
So the first Red Reserve team in existence was a Brazilian squad, with which was dropped to sign the Swedish team, and it featured Kaiki, MCH, BLD, NAC, and KNGV. So NAC is the other one who is pretty notable, who coached MIBR and coached Luminosity as well.
And was a 1.6 player. Yeah.
And was a 1.6 player and has been around the block with Sharks, Daytona in more recent history as well. But they dropped that team, and immediately afterwards they signed Hampus and Relaxa. Good job. Freddy Frog was there, yes. Relaxa and Freddy Frog, the two twins, they were there. But later on, they did also sign Freddy B towards the end. Freddy B being one of those players who carried on with Hampus for a long time into Gamer Legion and moving on. KNG was there, like I said. HS was also there towards the end. They did like a weird European thing.
He's always
with
there.
Radifaction as well was there for a bit. So weird project. Plopsky was never there. He did play 3 maps, but this is one of the ones where I'm not. If you had guessed that Plopsky was an imposter and I went, actually I played 3 maps, that would have been bullshit. So Plopsky doesn't count.
Oh, you see, I remembered someone on their way up was in that team. It's Brolan. I'm just looking at the list now. It's Brolan was the one on the way up who played with this team. Right, gotcha.
Yep. So just to recap, the imposters that I put in are Isak, Plopsky, and Rops.
Okay, but Hampus did play. I just can't seem to find him.
Hampus did play. He was on the first roster, and also he was there back and forth. He came back for the second time when they had Twist Brolan, Disco Dopplan, and Freddy B, which was the roster that eventually fell out into nothing. So Hampus, Isak, Plopsky, Freddy B, KNGV, Relaxa, Rops, and HS. The imposters are Isak, Plopsky, and Rops, and you get 1 out of 3.
No, I got 3 out of 5. I don't care. I got 3 out of 5 correct. That's all I care about. I don't care about getting the imposters. I want to get the players on the team right.
Right.
That's how I play.
Yeah, this is a good game. This is a deep pull. Red Reserve are really hard to
that's a
predict.
Fucking ridiculous pull. Like 2017 Brazilian team. Like, I was not following that level of the scene. Like, who the fuck? I mean, someone probably was, but it wasn't me.
Yeah, and I'm not counting like stand-in things because there's about as many players who have played random stand-ins. Like when I said Boobski played 2 maps, he actually did. He played 2 maps for this team. Zen played a couple, and then you have just the Scream played 19 maps as well. Just throwing him in there. It's a whole mess. Red Reserve was a whole mess, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
You good job.
You know, what event was it that I actually saw them play? Let me just look into it.
You would have definitely seen them at a couple of DreamHacks.
Yes, it's a DreamHack.
Or at least one.
Which one? DreamHack Open Winter? No, not Winter.
They only played like a dozen lands or so. They played DreamHack Open Summer, DreamHack Open
one.
Montreal, but I don't think you were there.
I was definitely not in Montreal.
DreamHack Open, and also DreamHack Open Valencia.
Yeah, so Open Summer is the one I saw them at.
Yeah, and that's
Roland
when
Twist,
they were
Hampus,
shit.
Doppelin, Freddie B. Okay, I should have known Freddie B. Sorry, but yeah, you guys were shit. You did get immediately sent the fuck home. So not on me. But I remember. See,
That's
this
one
is
of
the
the
time.
ones, yeah.
I always talk about this time for Imperial Esperanto roster. Like I remember watching that team with fucking like laser vision, and the Optic roster with Config, Yugi. Yeah, that roster could have been something.
Nifty
too
Renegades.
many bad players, but yeah. The Nifty Renegades, again, I wasn't that into at the time. Funnily enough, they didn't make it out of groups either, so finished dead last. Yeah.
Complexity with Yay and Android.
The Nifty 50 lost rounds, but yeah. Complexity with Yay and Android was funny. Like, Def, Shazam, Stanislaw, like, these are just bad teams, but like, there's some culture there. There's some culture.
Yay is one of those guys who, if Valorant didn't exist, he probably could have been a pretty good player. Because I think he's one of the best Valorant players in the world at the moment. So I feel like, what if he carried on? Flashpoint heritage, as he is to me.
Yeah, he had some good years. Let's put it that way in CS:GO, but he's never like a monster.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was about it. We are going to move on to another recurring segment.
It is. It's time for everyone's favorite. You all know it's coming.
Penis of the week.
And yet, here we are. It's, of course, Cock of the Week. Who have you chosen this week? I see it's a Reddit post, so I'm wondering, which plebs are we spitting down on today?
Today I actually wrote an article about this based on this thread because the contents of it was pretty good and the comments on it were pretty good, but the thread itself was really horrible. A very filler article, but it's the kind that get engagement where I just I use the Reddit thread as a spring point to say, what do you miss from CS:GO? So can I just ask, do you, dear viewer, miss any of these things from CS:GO that don't exist in CS2 anymore? Warm-up arenas.
Hang on. I'm going to grade/review these as you list them, so go ahead.
All right. Warm-up arenas. Do you miss it?
Worst idea they ever had. F-tier dog shit, should never have existed.
The buy wheel.
Eh.
Is it better or worse than the current buy menu?
I think it's... Honestly, I'm incredibly indifferent. Like, for me, it's a flat C to B sort of thing, where it's like, it's whatever. Like, oh no, you didn't... The clicky, the buying thing's different. Like, okay, eat your dino nuggies. Shut the fuck up. I don't care.
I've seen... Anytime somebody brings it up, it's like, none of you fuckers complained about this when we got the new buy menu. You thought it was cool. But now it's like, because you have to nitpick things that you want, like CS:GO was better. It's because they had the buy wheel. It's like, what the fuck? How are you so strongly opinionated about this?
Stupid.
Actually, a good one. Cash.
As a player, yes. For the nostalgia, some of the like clips on that map were insane. Like, it's got that value. But I've made the case before. It's just a different aesthetic to Ancient, but it's the same principles on the map in terms of how it plays out. So I'm just a bit, it's got a dear place in my heart. Like, it's one of the few maps where I knew like more smokes than I did than anyone else really on the team. On average, like if I entered a server, like I knew more smokes than people. But aside from that, like it's not that special.
This is maybe the most egregious one, and I feel like they only picked this because they had to fill out 4 things to make their image look good. Cheap cases.
You know, as someone who isn't a degenerate gambler, but instead a highly educated and classy sports bettor, I don't care.
I do not care. I do think it's really funny they included it. I'm gonna pick a couple of the comments though.
Sorry. Actually, one thing I have to say, actually, fuck cheap cases, because now when I get cases as drops, I can sell them for like £1. And so that pays for like the random shitty indie games I buy. Like, I love it. Keep cases expensive. Fuck the degenerates.
I'm going to do a couple from the comments. All chat at the end of halftime and at the end of the match.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty. Everyone talks about COD lobbies. You don't understand the slurs me and the slabs were throwing at each other at halftime. Like, holy fuck, if you had a Wi-Fi password-ass Cyrillic name, you were getting called everything, and you were doing the exact same back without hesitation. It was beautiful. Like,
Yep.
the Tower of Babel is needed to enable this. Like, it is glorious.
Map-based player models, where you got like different factions for different maps.
Oh, that was a vibe. I like that. I like that. Especially like yeah, I liked a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the map-based stuff. Like adding more flavor to the maps. I think that was cool.
Danger Zone.
Don't care.
Somebody in Firo, clan tags. Actually, what do you?
I mean, it was a great way to be incredibly creative with how offensive your name was, but overall, it didn't really change that much. Like...
Yeah, I would like clan tags to be back. I think they were cool. Here's a comment, another mini cock of the week. I think I missed the days when cheaters got banned. That was great. So
go watch some hentai. Shut up.
Yeah, somebody else also said devs. Oh, this is what I'd forgotten about. Kill replays when you played casual or deathmatch. You got like a replay from their POV.
That was the worst update. I'm sorry. Like when that came into the game and I was just like, I was playing deathmatch. I'm trying to just warm up. And then I die once and I had to watch some other guy kill me. I was like, who asked for this? It's already the most tilting game mode. Get this shit off my screen.
Yeah, I always skipped it, but I'd forgotten it existed. So yeah, I think that's about it. Then we're just Jesus, yeah. It's funny to scroll through Reddit threads sometimes.
Okay, I found one great.
But this one,
playable bots in real games. Thank you, please bring them back. The fact that I had to, I deal with some toxic ass like douchebag, get him off my team, and then we're just in a 4v5. Like I get it. It can be like a bit weird and silly. It feels like in a competitive game. But it's better than just being in a 4v5 because you had a guy yelling slurs because you didn't drop him a deagle and pistol round. Like, it's just better.
Yeah. So, yeah. That was today's cock of the week. Please stop crying about things you missed from CSGO because at this point, honestly, there's very few things that I think you can object. At this point, the CS2 has progressed far enough where the difference is... there's a difference, but it's like... unless you have some like overarching, like the vibe was better or like it felt better or here and there, I do still think I do think at this point that it's we're
the one
basically
thing that I feel like I think is truly like for me was missed potential even in Go, but the fact that it's not even tried in 2 is a bit of a bummer. The operations with the actual like missions that were like not go into deathmatch and get 100 kills with the M249 in one spray. Like, it's stupid crap. But, like, the actual, like, weird, like, bot-based sort of, like, stealth missions and, like, those sorts of things, I thought were pretty dope. And, like, because one thing I always get annoyed by in other video games is that they have inferior gunplay. Like, after ADS and, like, the spray makes no sense. It's just kind of sprays infinitely. And, like, there's a lot of just bad, gunplay games. The fact that you could have some sort of co-op shooter vibe with Counter-Strike mechanics and literally, I thought was awesome. Yeah. And I think it was also a great place for them to experiment, throw out new ideas, like test. Imagine instead of having to test a new gun in competitive the second it exists, you can just throw it into this mode. Imagine the revolver, as OP as it was, instead of being released into a fully like competitive scene, was just given to you in that sort of context. You would know immediately it was too OP and you'd need nerfed. You would have never had to have ruined a bunch of competitive matches just to test out this new gimmick you came up with. Like, there's a lot of things that I think were missed out in terms of opportunity by Valve in those missions and those operations. Especially a lot of community involvement. If you'd allowed other people to create their own that potentially could get wrapped up in it, you do it for maps, you did it for skins, you do it for a bunch of stuff. I thought that's just a missed opportunity. But aside from that, a lot of the things people were missing, it's just not that good. It was never that good. Stop eating Dino Nuggies.
Yeah. Right. The shuffle is eternal once again.
Oh, yes, we're back to the eternal shuffle. It never ends. It never ends. Even though Rostermania is technically over, the eternal shuffle is eternal for a reason. Let's
Yeah,
get
but now
into
we're getting
it.
into the good stuff. We're getting into
Is
the
it
ones
the good
that we
stuff?
always talk about. This is
Is
the bread and butter of the Retake the Week podcast.
All right, let me have it. What am I grading this week?
First off, Johnny Speeds. They've added Lecro and Mines, and I just wanted to grade that as is.
Just adding those two.
Yeah, they are playing with the team.
I mean, what was I going to base it off of otherwise?
Start with that, and I'll add some context, which I think.
Okay. I think I always prefer it when a team is an IGL. So cool. Lecro is fine. And Mainz is incredibly young and incredibly raw. He's had some strong maps that I've watched on stream that were, yeah, you know, like the aim seems decent, but like overall it's just a bit of a mess. Like the Northern Lights games, that's what it was. So I like them taking this risk though, because he's 16, very young. We need young players to be given this sort of chance. Where we're not talking about playing insanely high level games, but like playing competitively with a team is the point. I think this is great for Mainz. I think fair play to Johnny Speeds for actually making this move. I'll give them, as well, you know, the difficulty of replacing players. I think overall they deserve a good B+ for this. Like this is a valiant attempt and a good risk to take.
Yep. So the context that I wanted to add here is that, first of all, Mainz is legitimately very talented. He's got a lot of very good numbers as well in those Northern Lights games. It's not just the eye test, but someone, I think there's a thing coming soon-ish, or maybe not, but where I was asked like who are the biggest Swedish talents that we might have missed, and I said Mainz, and the person in question looked at the numbers and they said, hell yeah, dude, this is insane. Well, I could just say the person is. It's something they're working on. Nero is working on a thing, and he asked like, who should I look at? And I said Mainz, and he looked at the numbers and he's like, in rating 3.0, this guy is insane. So those games he was legitimately really good. But yeah, the thing that makes this really weird to me is that they've signed them on a stand-in. I'm not sure there's a contract here even, but they are both were announced as stand-ins for the time being. And something I have to say here is that to me, it feels like one of the two sides is not really committing here, and I do feel like that's a negative, to be honest, because I have to say I think it is Johnny Speeds not wanting to commit to Lecro and Mainz for whatever reason. Mainz especially, because I think a lot of this project was built around Mail 09. I think Mail 09 was a lot of the value that the investors went into this team with. And probably Johnny Speeds made a profit off of selling Mail 09. Maybe they would have hoped to, carried on with him throughout 2025 as a whole before selling him. But when I'm looking at the investment group that came in to run Johnny Speeds as an organization and sign them on contracts, when I'm thinking about their value proposition in this team, losing Mail 09 is probably not something they wanted to do. And now that they have, do they want to quit while they're ahead? Or do they want to double down and gamble on another young talent? Because Mainz is not nearly as developed as Mail 09 was when they picked him up. So
yeah, no, he's played mixes, but he's not really been through that sort of academy process that Mail 09 went through. Like no. It's a very different road.
Yeah, exactly. Not at all. So for that, it's like, for that I feel like it's a little. I have to knock Johnny Speeds down a little bit because I feel like I don't know if this is the case. This is pure speculation. Maybe it's Mainz and Lecro who are unable to commit, or maybe they can afford to sign a contract. Maybe they're asking too much or whatever, or maybe it is something else entirely. But to me, it feels like Johnny Speeds. Maybe they just want to put somebody in to play a couple of events, see how it goes, and if they feel very optimistic about it, they're gonna sign on. Otherwise, they're just going to kill the project because it no longer has Mail 09. And for that, I feel like that's how it feels to me on the outside. And that's not overly, that's not good to me. So for that, the fact I get that feeling, I have to knock Johnny Speeds a little bit. And I'm just going to address Furo in the chat. Ovid should not be in that group. if you're asking if he's male or nine talented or Upe, Avid, Bodenmaster talented. I feel like Avid at least stands out. But yeah, other than that, no, yeah, they have a roster, and it's good to have a roster rather than not. So, muy bien. I'm gonna move on. Imperial Valkyries. Yeah, Imperial Valkyries. They've announced a Zaz replacement, and it is VN who was previously reported at one point.
Yeah, she's not bad, is she? As a player, like she's had some good runs. Like I've noticed her. She's not like insane. Like not been one of the best players in all of what's it called, in all of Impact, but like with what's their names, Dreamcatchers. That's it. Yeah, I thought she had a pretty strong run. Like she had a couple good Cash Cups, some good Impact seasons. No, this is a solid, talented player. Like they've not gotten that much worse. As much as Zaz is more tenured and was really strong, like Ian's a good player. Like this is still a very viable roster. Not got the same allure, the same threat that it did before, but it's definitely a roster worth being afraid of. I'll give him a strong B. It's a strong B for a replacement because we are talking about Zaz was like super high rated, super experienced, you know.
Yeah, and does legitimately bring that experience is also very valuable, and especially at this level, I think, in this circuit. But yeah, she was very skilled on very high level of play at Dreamcatchers. She was on Eco Warriors, and it was maybe less so, but she was still up there. She was one of the better players. And yeah, I think just last week we said that it was she was maybe not quite one of the super exciting. Even on Eco Warriors, I do feel like Kyosa and Viku were maybe the more exciting players on that team.
They were, yeah.
But yeah, this is the signing they made, and honestly, you can't really probably still the best Impact team overall. Have probably done their due diligence and found a player who's going to fit them. So good job. Now we're moving into the really, I don't want to say bottom of the barrel, but this is the bread and butter of the Retake the Week podcast. These are the moves that nobody else covers. If you have HLTV confirmed up on your second monitor, mute it right now because you're never going to hear about any of this over there. Ruby, the Russian team, have signed Trunik, who is a prospect-ish.
He was a prospect outright. No ish involved. He was on prospect.
I couldn't remember if he was one of the. Yeah, I couldn't remember if he was one of the multi ones or one of the.
No, full episode. Ones. Even though multi ones counts full fucking prospects, that doesn't magically discount it.
Right, okay.
Yeah, famously of Team Space fame when they climbed all the way up into relevance, basically. Trunik's he's a multi-talented rifler. Like he does a lot of different things pretty well. Just none of them at a truly elite level, but he's got value. Let's put it that way. He can add to a team, and that's what he did back on that roster. That's what I think he'll do for Ruby. So far, he's already played 7, 8 maps, 7, 8 matches, 16 maps. Yeah, they've gone fine. Nothing insane. This Ruby team. Yeah, he's reuniting with Fossil, who he played with on Team Space. We'll see how it goes, but this is probably an upgrade for who they had before. It's just not that insane of a roster move overall, given that the hype behind this guy's died a bit.
Yep, he's probably not the best player on the roster, but
he's not really like the player they've benched is Moon, but he was the Yorper, so I don't think
fine.
It's not a 1-for-1. So
they've played 6 series and they've won all 3 of them or all 6 of them, so that's really good. Trunik, very weird. I think the Passion UA win is impressive. Maybe most of all of these, like Gun 5 Metasport, that's good, and Partisan, but the Passion UA win is pretty special, I think. Very weird performance out of Trunik, which he lands on a 105 average, but that's because his Mirage rating is 0.37. But then he's got a 144 and a 137 on those 2 in Ancient. So, yeah, I guess, like I said, probably not the best player on the team, but yeah, a good job. They have Gio as a coach, old Estonian guy from Namiga. Algo have picked up Oscar. So Algo, I actually didn't.
Algo?
Yeah, these guys played like a single game in the past 3 months, and it was in the Exhort series against Nexus. But the roster that they played with there was Sky, DV, Nukie, Quirts, and Milky. So it's definitely names. But now
those are names. Yeah, fucking hell.
Yeah. Nah, but Oscar, Nukie, Quirts, and Milky with Shara as a coach.
What in the tier 2 fuck is that? Like, sorry,
Very
tier 4
2
fuck is that? Like, this is Oscar. Why do you do this?
I mean, yeah, that's a good question, but that's where we are.
No, just no to all of this. Next.
Yeah.
Refuse.
Right. No, what else? Like, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. The Last Resort. They picked up Wild Lotus. Bird from Sky has a contract. And
Yes.
they had a lot of fun in Kettering, I think.
Kettering, yeah. Well, I mean, they only won one series, but yeah.
I just saw a video of Bird from Sky doing karaoke at the after party.
Okay. Look,
so they did probably have a lot of fun, yeah.
This is a roster that works because of one man. Let's be real. One man only.
Yeah, probably.
Like, if this wasn't a Bird from Sky-led team, there's not a chance in fucking hell that Kiosk is putting up good numbers. You know, like, this is just not a very talented roster. But they have a really strong IGL with a clear vision of how to play. And there's some players on this team who aren't terrible. Like, Bodenmaster's not that bad. Vegi's okay. Like, these are not particularly good players. But with the right leader, they can clearly win a series at Intel Epic LAN. Then lose to NXT. So they're just... Yeah, if only Bird from Sky had as many fans in GM positions as he does on my show, which is me and you. So 2, you know? He has 2 fans, and we're very happy to call ourselves that.
Yeah,
we're Bird from Sky fans. We're believers.
I'm a fan of all 5 of these players.
Of course.
Very nice.
Who are these guys? They're pretty horrible tier 3 players. Quack, you must love them.
Signing on the dotted line. No. Yeah. Nice. I don't have any more notes. Kono have cut Saltovsky their opera. That's all.
Weird if there's no replacement. Because, look, to be honest, he does a lot for this kind of team. Like, he has done quite a lot for prior iterations of this roster as well. So I don't know. Not a fan. Back when Kensisaw was on the team, it was kind of like Kensisaw makes a mess, Saltovsky cleans it up. That was sort of the dynamic they had. I don't know. What they're left with is Owner, Amster, and Captain Kirka. Bit of a rough position for Kono, but at least they're still Ukrainian. They still have options in terms of younger players to pick up. We'll see where they go with it, but I don't really like the removal.
They didn't play a game since May, so I'm not even sure this is like a move where anybody's coming in. They have played stuff like outside of HLTV in June, so I guess they're semi-active at least, but not overly. Right. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, let's move on. Eklot, they've added Aaron and Spardaus. So the roster which rounds out Dynamo Eklot is Aaron, 4C, NBQQ, Dytor, and Spardaus. You watched a bit of Spardaus this week.
I watched a bit of Lithuania, not really Spardaus. No offense to that. He was mentioned. He was a name, but he wasn't really the focus of that Lithuania team, funnily enough. Mostly Ryu, Jigs, Magilla. Those are the guys we were watching. Yeah, cool. This Eklot team, bit strange. I mean, Aaron especially, just getting thrown in. Just an odd mix. But who knows? Who knows? He played okay for Hungary. It might end up doing something. But it's a strange move.
Yeah, he's a merchant of this tier where he's filling a role and he does it fine, but he's never really standing out. Gigi Hao haven't cut Boros. He actually bought himself out. He opened his wallet and paid his own buyout to be able to join a different team.
Yeah, he's now a free agent.
Do you see him landing anywhere?
Oh, obviously, yeah. Loads of places. Basically, in Tier 2 in EU, if you need someone who can aim, there you go. Sign him. I said it before, if he's off the server issues, we know all about them, are still a big issue. Probably not going to reach very high in terms of which teams will take the risk. But if he's solved some of that stuff, like if he's matured a bit, bro can play in Tier 1. Bro can play on a top team in Tier 1. Like, mechanically, he's up there. Like, you don't get this kind of aim for free. So he's going to find a team. I don't know who it's going to be, and I hope he doesn't do something stupid, like join Oscar on that shit show. But he's going to have options, I know it.
Yep. Yeah, probably the case. So, solid there. I do think part of it might be that the Middle East is now considered part of the European.
It's definitely a
US region.
factor.
Yeah, I think he realizes that it's better to get out early in this case, because before one of the advantages they had was they could get Europe play, and they could basically kind of cheese their way into Asian events by maybe playing a lot more European events than other Tier 2 Asian teams, and then gain ranking off of that. But not that they did play that much, but yeah, they're here now. And yeah, I think that's part of it. So that's solid. Big Equipa are left with only one player. They have only retained Hanka. They've cut Pulox and Paulie and their coach Musambani. And there was Army Potent said in the chat that the new roster is supposed to be Hanka, Viku, Kyosa, Emsan, and Astra. But I have no idea where that's from.
Neither do I, but to be fair, that's not something I would know. That roster would be OP as all bollocks.
Yeah.
And pretty fantastic. But it would ruin Zerance, so no, not allowed to happen. You're not allowed to steal Astra. No, can't have her. I refuse. I will fist fight you, whoever it is on big management trying to steal Zerance's AWPer. You will be punched very hard in the face by me.
I for one am very much in favor of Emsan landing on this team. That would be very nice. But yeah.
It'd be pretty crazy.
That's just wild that he's just put that and another roster move, which we could also mention now, just in the chat. And I'm like, I've been frantically Googling trying to find a source on this, but because neither of the teams have confirmed it, I don't think. But the other one is Diledes rounding out the Russian Sangal roster.
That would be pretty cool. Again, theoretically, great. No source on it, don't care. I can't really... There's no source on it, no confirmation, nothing. I can't be that excited, really. But it'd be a pretty cool roster. Klax, Patsy, Norway, Danists, and then joined by Diledes, who's a really talented rifler. Yeah, it'd be pretty strong. Yep. Needs to happen, though.
Don't know if that's true, since they did play with Sugar as their fifth.
Sugar!
Yes, yesterday.
System of a Down. So, any of you out there, System of a Down fans, should know that song.
Right. Another bit of a wild move here. Sky Fury, previously coached by Zeus. No longer. That's why they're not. They were previously coached by Zeus.
I wonder why Zeus stopped coaching. Did he find something distracting? Maybe. I don't know. Some kind of buffet. I don't know.
All right, no, they've added non-Ukrainian players. They've added Dele, Shield, and Smek. And I do know that this is on a non-contract thing, but I think it's mostly just, it's a fun project they can have.
Wow, what a roster. Yeah, no, I mean, look, Sky Fury, they were always kind of just trying things. Like, they had a bunch of really young, unknown players. So they know exactly...
They were the Laser Cats second gen, yeah.
They know exactly a big money org. Look, Shield is going to give you a 1.03, even if it costs you every map. And then Dele, some people like. I don't really care for him. And Smek, I've never seen stand out. So this is just three random-ass moves that I'm not too fussed by. Toxic's the IGL, I believe. And he's been the Toxic. He's been the IGL on a few teams. Or a support, right. I think, at times on Hellraisers. He's had moments of being a player that's kind of caught my eye, just as far as... could be something like the Ukrainian Hellraisers, carried by Wonderful, but he was one of the role players on that team.
They barely played. I feel like they signed that team and then the war happened, and it was
it wasn't very long tenured roster, but there's something there in terms of Toxic, I guess, but this ain't shit.
Oh yeah, Della says they have good vibes, and it's a fun place to play for now. But yeah, like I said, no contract, so yeah. Let's see what they do. I think they actually do have a decent VRS because Shield has been playing with them since April, so they do have a VRS ranking. I'm not sure it's good,
It's
but there's
200
at
and
least
something.
something to work with. Yeah. Finally, Sashi have confirmed their roster, and it's actually not Patty who they were playing with. That I think is a bit unfortunate, but they've reinstated Mister, previously of Astralis fame.
Yeah, Cabby to take over the call. I saw this announcement. They played fairly well as internationally. You know, when they played at the European thing, the ESL Pro League qualifier, they actually played decently as well.
Yep.
They're not a bad roster overall. I think they've made some astute signings by picking up guys like Becky, but I'm not sure about the Mr. Edition specifically. I do think, could a team just, what's wrong with Patty?
Yeah.
Like, why does no one want him on their team? Like, he could have been the IGL on this team, and I thought I'd find that pretty interesting, but instead, no, he's just lost in the wind. And yeah, instead, Mister's back in. Mister's had some moments, but it's not dreadful. I don't mind it. I just, I like the idea of having Patty on the team, but we'll see how Cabby calls. I guess that's all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Sashi a bit of a revolving door. So yeah. Okay, let me just see what Army Opponent is written. Diledes was on an HLTV page with the team. Zerans have already replaced Astra on Faceit, and the lineup has been spotted playing together. I'm gonna, if they've just been playing Faceit matchmaking, they might just be friends. I'm just gonna mention that, but I can believe it. I can believe it. Yeah. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with that. And that's about it. That's a shuffle. The eternity has ended.
Wow, eternity doesn't last that long. Anyway, Eternal Shuffle over. Let's move on to the real premiere segment in all of Counter-Strike podcasting, the closer to end all closers, Prospect of the Week. Let's see which obscure Swedish child Quack has latched onto this time.
Watch out what you say. His dad is in the chat. We're talking about Poi, because Poi.
You're
has
basically
really
the
been...
same age. Chill out. You're also like 12.
No, Poi. He's on Alliance now, as you all know, and they're putting up really good stuff. We talked about it earlier with STYKO, how he's taking on some IGL role. It's really been on my mind because I've been looking at their CT sides.
Yeah, you've been talking
more
to me
intensely
about
because
this
of
a lot.
I thought it was, it reaches much further than just like Snacks was a bad in-game leader and therefore Hunter had to take over, or Brolan is inexperienced and therefore Zershin has to take over. It reaches deeper to the point where like, wow, okay, now this is actually like a really intentional thing, where even if Poi, you wouldn't think he has any legs to stand on to be an in-game leader on, but apparently they can handle their CT sides just fine, because their CT sides have really evolved as soon as Poi came in, and no doubt I think it's partially because Poi has played better than Pleasant does. He's basically taking his position out like outright. I think it's also a factor. Maybe they play quite a bit of Nuke. They play quite a bit of Train. I feel like these are maps where when you play those maps, you're gonna have a stronger CT side than if you play Mirage, in general. But this week in particular, they were obviously at Epic LAN. If you were in Kettering, you were there, and they played a lot this week. PC also played online play just before they left, and they did fine. I think they could have probably hoped to have been in the final, but they played Iberian Soul twice, which was going to be that final matchup in that case if they would have ended up there. So mostly just Iberian Soul took an upset to AAB at one point, which is sort of what prevented it, because I think Alliance definitely would have beaten AAB. But yeah, and a bunch of online play before that as well. They won European Pro League over Energy Ultra in a absolute stomp over 3 maps. It was a best of 5. And a couple of other stray online games in the ESL Pro League qualifier, winning against Hesta just at the start of the weekend. Yeah, I mean, Poi, he seems to have gotten his spots. He seems to be able to play with a lot of freedom, obviously taking up that caller mantle on the CT side. The whole point is for him to call around himself. I think the whole point is that the idea is we're going to make you as comfortable as possible because whatever you say, we're going to do just to make you the best player possible. And that's nice because a lot of the time I feel like Alliance was a very lukewarm team in the way that they don't really have anybody who stands out properly. But that has changed at this point, I think, with Poi coming in. I think you're seeing it from other players as well. Like Poi's by far and away their best, or not by far and away, he's tied, but he is tied on a 133 CT rating with Era. So I think that's really shows how much influence he has on the CT side. T side is rougher, but you do still see good stuff out of Ovid there, and as well like Ovid also like the CT side. Again, it's an excellent CT side. It is the right now, like you call this the dead month. It's the tier 2 month, but at this point
it's
we've had
it's not even that tier 2. It's very tier 3. It's very low level month realistically.
But like
a lot of teams are taking their time off properly. Like they're not playing right now.
But the statistic I'm seeing right now is like when I'm looking at the FTU and I'm looking at the CT side specifically, Alliance have one of the best CT sides out of literally anybody who's playing at the moment. Like regardless of map cap, there's nobody. Like Tai Lu are nowhere close, and like the teams who play the Fissure, like I think Complexity would be the closest one. M80 who went through Fragadelphia against much worse opposition, they're not there at all. So yeah, you need to look at teams like you need to look at Foot who played 6 maps in there against Alliance's 37 to find somebody who has better average. So they're to me they're really standing out in that regard. And look, with what Twist said in that interview about the role that Poi plays on CT side, I can only imagine that he personally is a big part of that impact as well. So for that he gets, even if Abid had a better week rating wise, I'm gonna have to give it to Poi, and especially on LAN.
Yeah, Poi's a good choice. He's a good choice.
Yeah.
As much as I have been ripping into you and you've tried to talk to me about Alliance's CT side stats, because let's be clear, they have played Energy Ultra 6 times, Iberian Soul 5 times, and lost those games. Like, those games are not contributing nicely to their CT win rate. Like, they have played some pretty bad rosters. Hester, NXT, Wopa, this version of Wopa. Like, these are not insane levels of opposition. Poi has had a great period, and for this time of year, you're not going to get that much better as far as the teams you can really talk about. So I do like Poi. It's a good choice.
But here's the thing: when you say that, like, oh, they're playing Energy Ultra and such, yeah, but Energy Ultra also playing, all of these other teams are playing, and the way Alliance were before, they had nowhere near these numbers. Like, they could barely break 50% win rate on this on the CT side, or overall they could barely, like, they were struggling at this level of play, and that's why I think it's remarkable, because it is like a remarkable step up in level for them. That's why I keep mentioning it, and it's a step up that the teams that they play routinely, that they aren't able to do. Energy Ultra is obviously the remnants of the Viperia roster. They played at exactly this level of play day in and day out, and they couldn't do it. Like, you ended up having a lot of really good. Why I think it's a contrast. It's a contrast pre-Poi, post-Poi. Jesus, that I think is
pre-Poi, post-Poi is fair. Yeah.
Pre-Poi, post-Poi. So that's what I think is remarkable.
Twister.
Yeah, that's what I think is remarkable. So yeah,
I'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm going to do some demo analysis. We're going to take a look at what they're doing. Obviously, that's why sometimes I do get frustrated by your picks, because I do Tuesday prospects of the week. That's the live stream, and sometimes I have to watch some bumfuck Swedish game because Quack picked Brillo or whatever the hell else, and I'm just like so done with this dude.
He was disappointed. You didn't give that much for him to work on. He watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to also watch a guy run through 100 smokes and just push everything every round and be like, oh, what he should have done was like, what am I supposed to say? He's playing real CS. Like, it's also a live stream. If I start getting bored, I get bored. I'm just start reading chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Bro just pushed every smoke.
I'm just saying. I'm just passing on what he said, man.
Yes. Maybe take it seriously and join a team, and then we can have a conversation. I'm not a Fiverr coach who paid 50 quid. Like,
you're gonna see better stuff from Alliance as well, because with the VRS they got from Epic, they are up into basically CCT playoff invite range. So we're gonna start seeing them in CCT playoffs, and we're gonna start seeing them.
Yeah, I hope
maybe even get to like some close qualifiers to bigger events as well.
Yeah, hopefully they do continue to improve. I mean, there's some players on this team where you're like, Like I got a comment on a live stream telling me Alliance had no weak point, and I was like, the fact that there are two players who off the top of my head I couldn't name, I was like, I find that hard to believe. Then I looked into it, it's Upa and Twist, and I was like, okay. Okay. No weak point, but sure, yeah, whatever. No comment. We'll see how that energy maintains as they get these CCT playoff invites and have to keep playing the likes of Iberian Soul and ex-Navi Junior, for example. Like, they keep having to play these teams that beat them. We'll see how strong everyone thinks they are. But no, I'm cautiously optimistic because Arvid's had strong runs. He's playing well right now. Era's finding frags. You know, it's not quite the sky's falling down, but it's something. Like, it's a change. And Poi, you know, there's a reason he got so much hype. I mean, he's still the record holder for regulation kills in CS2. As much as if you watch that demo, it's boring and dry, it's still there. So there is something to be said for this Alliance roster being on the rise. From that sense, it's a pretty fun pick. On my end, I just made a video about this team that no one fucking watched, but that is what it is. But it's Davi, who stood out on TNL's latest run that qualified them for Pro League. You know, they're only going to be in Pro League and Blast Bounty. Don't know why no one's interested in them yet, but we'll see if that video catches any flack or traction or anything else. But Davi, for me, has been the most exciting player. Like, Ken's the one a lot of people have been caught up with in terms of he's the one who's had the higher ratings. He's had some really strong performances in terms of also a very diverse playstyle because Ken is oftentimes aggressive alongside Davi. He's also a player who's trading and then therefore alive later in rounds, has some pretty great post-plant moments from their recent run. But Davi is just so electric and so explosive, like mechanically an absolute monster. So I'm looking forward to watching more of this team play. TNL going to be playing some real tier 1 lands. If you haven't seen the video, I might as well chuck it in the chat because you know, maybe then it will break 100 views. I'm kidding. It's not sub 100, but it's still trending pretty horrifically. But that was kind of my my hype for this team. It's like, yeah, they are going to be playing real lands. They've come from nowhere to reach this point. They've been good at the smaller lands they've played. And now they actually get to play the big boys, the big dogs. And we'll see how this playstyle maintains, because it is rather direct. On the T side especially, it can get rather one-note and really predictable. But they have some cool calling that they do off the back of their sort of style if it does find success. Like, they're really great at finding the counter punch after their jab lands, because they're going to throw that fucking jab a lot, but as soon as it lands, they're like, oh shit, I can now feint it. And that's when they are really fun to watch as a team rather than just a bunch of individuals getting in people's faces and fragging. So yeah, keep an eye on TNL. Davi, absolutely nuts. Love this team.
Davi's the guy I see sitting in tier 1 in a couple of years. He's exactly the kind of guy who I could see rising up and ending up on a G2 team or something like that.
G2 need another entry fragger. Get Heavy God out of here. Get Heavy God the fuck out of here. Davi, we need 4.
Like, unless TNL or a different Ukrainian team start to break in and sit comfortably in this layer, that's the sort of, like, a big buyout kind of transfer into an international team. And he's very young. That makes him very attractive for these teams as well, because they know they can probably get a lot of years of performance out of him. So that's exactly the kind of signing they would be keen to make. Like, if the way it's going, Davi's going to end up sitting there at the start of 2027 with being like, what, 18 or 19, but with extensive tier 2 and maybe a little bit of tier 1 experience. Like, it's kind of like Plopsky. Like, the one of the redeeming things, one of the good things about Plopsky is he was really experienced because he started super early. Like, he had 4 years of tier 1 play when he was 20. That's like, yeah. Frozen, similar. Like, you end up with these players, and Davi is on track to be one of them as well, if things keep going well for him. So I hope they do, because he's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, he's great. And look, this team, as much as in my video, I do break down some of the flaws of their playstyle. They do certain things that I just don't see very many teams do, that therefore makes them fun to watch. They're just a team that I want to keep highlighting. He's a player I want to keep putting out there. But one of my favorite things, honestly, that I noticed is Flyrax the Orpa. T-side might as well just be called Nade Dispenser 3.0. Like, he just doesn't do much other than throw flashbangs. But I've never seen an AWPer, CT side of Mirage, solo push to top mid. Find no one by pure accident, and then the next round be like, do it again then, and just insist upon it. Like, I've never seen such like belligerent, like hooliganistic behavior from an AWPer. Like,
Yeah.
just kind of deranged in a very fun way. But no, there's talent all across the roster. Onic, I think, does have like genuine calling chops as far as understanding the gaps that he creates and putting himself in them to frag, but also setting up his teammates. Like, there's a great example I run through in the video of a Mirage map where they do a series of, well, watch the video, but it's basically just as I exactly described, just the jab, jab, jab. It's landing, feint it, bash, get your fucking head rocked. Like, it was awesome to watch, and they do similar things across all maps. So yeah, definitely a team to watch out for, and a player who is just, if he's not rising already, like in people's esteem and like being considered for those next steps, he will be soon, because he's going to be playing 2 legit big events this year, like stage 1s of those big events in that sense. But still, he'll be doing that. He's worth paying attention to. Davi, absolute monster, but this entire team, very fun.
Nice.
All right, that wraps up the episode. Thank you for tuning in and catching our interview with STYKO, because that's a new thing we're doing. We had a guest. Might do it again in the future. Who knows? But that was.
I like having guests. I think. It was really cool. It's pretty cool. It was just he made that post about like, oh, now I'm benched. I have time to go on some shows. So if you want me to go and come on something, and I was like,
hi.
I'm gonna try it. Like, I think I sent a screenshot of the DM I sent him to you, and I also sent the like basketball player trying to hoop from the moon.
Yeah, the Steph Curry range, the moon shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't quite that level of pull, but it was a long shot. But no, it was pretty fun to have him on.
Yeah.
And if you're watching the VOD, you made it this far. What are we commenting if you make it through the entire VOD? What is it this time?
I don't. Marshall. I'm just every time last time I also looked at something on my desk and.
Not Marshall. Time out. Make an obscure Counter-Strike reference whilst referencing the Marshall Plan. See if you can figure it out. Because it feels like in Counter-Strike we need the inverse of the Marshall Plan. See, this university student doesn't know what the Marshall Plan is. Read a book. Anyway.
How are viewers
leave a like if you
reference
enjoyed.
that?
Leave a like if you enjoyed. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on all these topics and how you would do the reverse Marshall Plan. And sub for more content, become a member to support the channel, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.